Baby hut to
Hello.
do to do, baby hut to do to do, baby hut to do to do, baby hut to do to do.
Give me a good reason why I shouldn't just kick you right now. Everyone, welcome to the Newbcast podcast for the 29th of December. My name is Miss Michelle Jean, and I'm joined by the Newbcast crew itself. No guests, but hi everyone. How's it going?
Hi guys.
Hello.
Just think we had to
It's
endure
that
all that
time
stuff.
again.
What's that
It's the
supposed
most
to mean?
wonderful time of the year.
The most wonderful time of the year.
That's all the time, though.
If
That's
that one
every-
actually physically hurt me.
I could feel that. I could feel that.
When it burns, you know that it's working.
Do we have any aloe vera for that? Is there aloe vera? I need some aloe vera, I think. Criminy. Yeah.
Can we restart this?
Yeah, let's do it. Right from the start. Okay, here we go. Everyone, welcome
From
to
the top.
Everyone, welcome to the Newbcast podcast for the 29th of December. My name is Miss Michelle Jean, and I'm joined by the Newbcast crew, and we're going to be talking about 2019 and the 2010s and stuff. That's what we're doing, right? And we did
The
it.
20 teens.
The 20 teens.
The 20
Yes.
teens.
The 20 formative years.
Oh gosh, I'm already starting to feel like a wave of acne rising up to attack us for saying that.
It's important to look back to the past, but personally, I'm looking forward to having flappers again.
Yeah, I can work with that. I
don't know, not
music.
when was Prohibition? The 30s?
About 100 years ago, so this would be accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, going into the 20s. Yeah, no, gosh, guys. First off,
Roaring 20s.
I feel like it's been a few weeks.
It has been a
An
few weeks.
accurate measure of time.
It has been a period of time.
A period of time.
I think the official number is 3 weeks, so a few is the minimum number that reaches that.
Whereas the one curriculum I had to suffer through in homeschooling would refer to that as several, because for them, several means 3, not 7. No, I don't know why. They also taught me how pine cones reproduce. Yes. Anyway,
Can we start over?
For the record here,
I
I'm
think we're
sorry,
broken.
everyone, but I have not had much sleep this week. And to be fair, today I actually got some, just in the middle of the day. So I'm going to be extra Elijah today. I'm so sorry.
I don't know how
I
much,
mean,
I don't know how much Elijah we can handle, to be honest with you.
I mean, if we're getting 120%, then that means that we're going to have to take ourselves up to 120%. I don't
Add
think.
sass. Everyone add the sass.
See, that look on Hippo's face says it all, actually. Can we
We
just...
done yet?
Yeah, right. No, I was about to say, why don't we just go around the room and do what we usually do and talk about what we've been playing? Does that work? Is that a thing we can do? Great.
Yeah.
Let's do
Yeah,
that. Let's start with that.
fun.
Let's do that. We'll
We're
start with.
going to be talking about woodworking.
Why don't we start with you, Elijah? You volunteered yourself. Elijah, welcome to the show. How's it going? What have you been playing?
I'm going to surprise everyone with one of the things.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, well, fun fact, my PC C drive died because of Windows update. So, I've been stuck working off of the laptop, so I haven't been able to make a lot of progress on PC games, but Xbox Game Pass is including a thing where you get a free month of EA access on Xbox, and I decided, well, Battlefront 2015's pretty dead on PC. I'm curious if there's anyone playing it on Xbox. And then it's like, actually, yeah, not only is it active, it's actually more active than the latest update for co-op in Battlefront 2. Because that's just how much people are still pissed about the Rise of Skywalker. They're not interested in playing a co-op built all around it. And as a result, I've mostly just been playing that between work because it's just been it's the one thing that's fairly easy to play fairly mindlessly, even when you have a cold, like I do. Yes, also a cold. It's been an interesting week. Yeah, actually proven to be a fairly decent time. The main thing is, like, with any dice game, you have to wait for updates to happen. Like, it's just a rule with them for some reason. For some inconceivable notion, even though DICE will learn their lesson in the middle of releasing a game and updating a game, whenever they make a follow-up, whenever they do anything new with it, they somehow find a new way to crip it up. So as a result, yeah, it's much better now. A lot of the issues that were there initially at launch were handled. I mean, there's still a few things with the limited single-player content that really should have been addressed, like how in a lot of the single player challenges there's these rocket troopers who spawn who, despite not even wearing a helmet, can withstand like 3 bursts of Boba Fett's rifle to the chest, and it's just kind of surreal. I see the dice, they're very pretty dice.
You were talking about dice games, so dice.
So pretty.
But do you have vanilla dice? Moving on.
So we have been very quickly derailed. All we needed was a shiny. All we needed was a shiny, and here we are.
Yep, that's all it took.
Yep. But that's been the primary thing that I've just been experiencing is this. I also did play the new Rise of Skywalker update, and surprise, the era that has been the least amount of fun that people play the least in Battlefront 2 still is the least fun era. I mean, to be clear here, there are some fun new characters that they've added to the experience, but it wasn't exactly well implemented. Like, there's a spy character, okay? What does this spy do with his spy abilities? Well, he can call down a mortar strike that can blow up an entire, like, 5-meter area so long as it's in the exterior of a map. And since most of the sequel-era maps are in giant open areas, that means he can call down an orbital bombardment essentially whenever he wants. Oh, and also, one of that class's earliest perk cards that you get makes it so that you recharge your abilities faster when taking damage. So that means when people naturally just take shots at him because it's what you do, it's a competitive shooter, he gets to recharge it faster. He can essentially be dropping down a mortar strike every few seconds. And then you got a heavy gunner who, if you combine 2 of her abilities, she essentially gets a rapid fire rocket launcher. These are character classes that you can earn very easily in any mode of play. They're added to all the content, not just a co-op. Because, like, if it was just a co-op, it's like, okay, it's a power fantasy. Okay. No, this has been added to competitive matches as well. Meanwhile, the First Order gets a jet trooper that's impossible to play on controller because you basically have to either choose between ascending or aiming. You can't do both. You can't do both with any control scheme. And the Sith trooper, who is basically just the assault trooper, but now they can run a little bit faster, and there's a grenade whose big bonus is it stops enemies' health from regenerating right away, which is like, isn't a grenade's job supposed to be to just take a person out, not make it so that they, need to wait longer in the line for healthcare? This seems like a grenade designed by Republicans, not a grenade designed by the First Order.
I mean, in fairness, if you kill them, then it'll take longer for them to recover.
Oh,
so you could just do it that way.
I don't deny that. I just don't understand why you wouldn't just try to kill them in the first place.
Don't bring logic into this. Don't bring logic into this. That doesn't make any sense at all.
So it's like, yeah, I ended up preferring the game from 2015 because at the very least, it feels built for a console, whereas the other one, definitely, I'm missing playing it on PC instead, and it's been a nice way to just pass the holidays. And I know I'm dilly-dallying around the big thing because I know people saw it on Twitter. Yes, I have experienced PSVR.
Oh, how's that?
Yes.
My big takeaway is, yay, I could use motion controls again! There are people who are genuinely annoying. It's like, I told you that's like, yes, you can bonk me on the head later. But just like, I'm serious here. That is the thing that I'm loving the most about this, is that when I play Until Dawn Rush of Blood or Firewall 0 Hour, it's like, I can just aim. I can actually trust my own reflexes instead of having to wait for snap aim down sights. It's so nice. And Apparently, I have very good VR legs because I actually had to turn off all the accessibility settings for Skyrim, like the blinders and everything, because that stuff was actually making me more motion sick than without it, which was a bit surreal for me. But it's like, yeah, no, this sudden turning, these blinders, it feels like I'm a horse. Why am I a horse? Although I did have a little bit of an issue with failing with the height setting, where I accidentally made myself a LeBron James because you see the PSVR tutorial area makes it look like everything is super short, right? It's like from dwarf perspective, but then you load the main game and it's like, holy shit, I am floating above everyone else. This is not right. But then you can't access the menu until you've already finished making your character. So for the entire intro of Skyrim and PSVR, I was floating above everyone else, tall as a Groot, and I'm just trying to take everything seriously while watching this play out.
I just want to make this clear. In the past 90 seconds, I have discovered you have some familiarity of what it's like to be a horse, and you're used to being incredibly short. Do I have that right?
I'm not used to being that tall. I am tall, but I'm not that tall. I finally settled on one where it's like, okay, most of these people I can either see eye to eye or their head is near my shoulder. This is the height I'm supposed to be. I don't know why they have a height so tall that, the tallest basketball players would go, whoa. I don't know who they built that for, but to be fair, it's Bethesda. They probably just threw some random numbers in and were like, oh, that's good enough. I mean, to be fair, the way that the controls are made with a PS Move, the bindings are insane because there's no analog stick. And also the left wand that controls your shield and everything, yeah, you have to unblock your shield if you want to move forward. You can't actually advance like a phalanx. It will stop working because motion is based on where the wand's tip is at. So if you curve your tip the wrong way, nothing goes forward. it's an experience, to be
Sounds
sure.
Yeah, that's definitely something with PlayStation Move that I think going into the next era, I hope they change, is like make a new Move controller that has an analog stick on it. It would make a world of difference for all of the stuff that's going on with VR. And it makes sense, right? Because like the PlayStation, when did the Move come out? Was that the beginning of the decade?
That's a good question.
That was actually just into it. Yeah, it was like 2012, I think they started releasing it.
So at the beginning of the decade, they had no idea that it was going to end up being used as a VR controller of all things. And so this repurpose is great for them because here's all this R&D that got dropped into, something that the vast majority of PlayStation users weren't using.
Yeah, it was
September 15th, 2010.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh man, we are talking about the decade.
That's That's the decade.
The thing that gets me is that the thing that gets me is they even actually have a solution for this. There's a navigation controller for the PS Move that you could use.
Mm-hmm.
They just needed to take that and stick a wand on the end of it, and instead they didn't. I don't understand. Although to be fair, it's Sony.
Why would you bring logic into it?
You seem to have a thing against logic.
So far, possible theme of 2010, taking things that aren't really intended for what they're doing and finding completely unexpected purposes for them.
I mean, that pretty much describes PS Move on a whole. I made the fun discovery that apparently all of Bioshock Infinite supports it. So that means that Burial at Sea Episode 2 is maybe the only motion-controlled first-person stealth game ever released. It's kind of weird how these things just happened.
Okay.
But pretty much I've just fiddled around with VR a bit. I feel like Moss is a really great intro, but it doesn't do that much beyond being a really great intro to PSVR. Like, it's very adorable, it's very charming, but it doesn't offer a ton beyond that. And just in general, I'm curious to see more. I haven't tried Astrobot yet, but Dad's been in love with that, and he finished Farpoint already. and said that the story gets rather criffed up by the end. So I'm curious to hear how that comes together. But yeah, it seems fine, and I'm just gonna keep being the weirdo who's just very, very happy that I have motion controls again.
That's fair. Nice. Well, is that everything you've been playing then?
Correctamundo.
Okay. Well, again, welcome. Glad to have you, as always. Hippo. Hello.
Hi, hello, it me? That jerk on the internet?
Yeah, it you. Welcome to the show. How are you doing? What have you been playing?
Pretty much only Stardew Valley.
I've noticed a lot of that on your stream. I lurk quite a bit lately. Like, I'm there, but I'm lurking. And I'll do something like, aha, by the way, my presence is here. I've been here for a while, but
yeah.
Way to go.
Stardew got an update, the 1.4 patch. It's pretty great. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
You're doing due diligence.
I started my stream. I started streaming on a schedule, with Stardew Valley back in 2017, and
It's like
it feels good to be back. Yeah, it feels really good to be back and enjoying the game and not feeling like I'm... You know when you burn yourself out on a game?
Oh yeah.
That's kind of what I did. I played for I only played 150 hours, but it was I was very, very new to streaming.
Wait a second. I played Persona for 120 and was judged how hard? And you're saying only 150? It doesn't surprise me that burnout is a thing at that point, you know.
Right. So I burnt out because I was trying to do everything, and I didn't really go into it with a very positive perspective and enjoying the game. I was like, I've got to do this thing and I have to do it now. And it didn't work for whatever reason. I don't know why. I just felt overwhelmed and burnt out, so I stopped. But throughout the 2.5 years that I've been live and streaming consistently, I've played it maybe 3 times, but it never really worked for my community because we were playing RimWorld and stuff. So going back to Stardew now, it seems to be a real hit. Everyone seems to really like it, so that was pretty cool. I'm very glad that I can play this game, and people like it. It's nice to like a game and other people like it too, like your audience, you know.
Yeah.
So
totally get that.
we did that. I did a 15-hour stream playing Death Stranding. That was fun. Death Stranding, fantastic game. Well worth the 15 hours that I put into it.
Yeah, so funny thing about that, I think we talked a little bit about it last time too, was that you were going for so long that I had gotten up for work the next morning and you were still going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good game. I had a lot of fun. I kind of want to go back to it, but I also don't.
So
I got spoiled.
As someone who's been playing it as well, and please no spoilers because I'm just barely in.
Of course.
But it seems to me like it is very much just a walking simulator. Do you feel like there's value in that inherently, or is there more?
So a lot of people were turned off by that game because the first 7 hours you're pretty much in cutscenes and walking, but eventually you get access to a motorcycle, and then eventually get access to a truck that can carry a buttload of stuff. It's a slow burner, but it's a Kojima game, if that makes sense.
Oddly, it does.
It's a slow burner, but when it starts to burn, it goes off the rails. It is not like what is that guy? What's his name? The dude who does Indigo Prophecy. I cannot remember his name for the life of me.
David Cage.
Yes, it's not a David Cage game. It's not a David Cage game, but it is a Kojima game. So whales everywhere. But yeah, no, it's a slow burner, but it's worth your time in my opinion. It's probably my favorite game of this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It made me feel feels okay. It made me feel a lot of feels. And the worst part was that we were streaming Stardew Valley and had like, I don't know, like 100 people, and we hosted a friend who was playing it, and we hosted her right at the end. So everyone who was there who was paying attention got spoiled. So that was pretty bad.
Nice.
Sometimes when you stream, weird things, bad things happen like that. Unfortunately, it was just a bad timing, and we went into her channel and just got the full-on spoil at the very end of the game. But I do recommend playing it, and I will probably continue playing it, even though, unfortunately, I know the end of the story and what happens. But
you gotta know how they get there.
It's exactly. It's not the it's not just knowing the story, but it's also the journey of enjoying the game. And in my opinion, at the very beginning, the journey is slow, monotonous. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know why you're doing it. You kind of have an idea of why you're doing it. It's kind of like, I don't know if this is worth it. If you stick with it, in my opinion, it's worth it. You get, as soon as you get the motorcycle, you're good. It just changes. You become less defenseless. You can actually fight. And it at the very beginning, it's slow. Very slow. But yeah, we played Death Stranding, which is so good. We played The Witcher. We played The Witcher on my Christmas stream. We did a 12-hour, and we played Stardew Valley and then The Witcher, because that's what you transition to from Stardew Valley.
Perfect transition. Actually, I heard an interesting fact about The Witcher. After the Netflix launch, there are more people playing The Witcher 3 now than there was at the launch of the game.
Yeah. And I wouldn't doubt that, because while The Witcher is a very popular franchise and a very popular book series, not like a hugely popular, but like popular enough. I don't know what I'm saying. You guys know what I mean. Netflix has a much larger reach.
Elsewhere.
Yeah, Netflix has a much larger reach to an audience that normally wouldn't even know about The Witcher, and then they watch The Witcher and they're like, oh wait, this is really good. Or if you're one of those weirdos, this sucks. I've never met one of those, but if you're one of those, you're weird. That's right, you're weird. They basically, like the Witcher series, like the Netflix series, took from the book heavily to the point where most people who read the book are happy with the series. There's some and obviously no spoilers, but there's definitely some weird nuances that I don't really understand the decision of why they did what they did. But for the most part, if you are one of those people like me who are like, man, the books are so good, and then you watch something and you're like, what happened? Why did they do what they did? That doesn't even make that wasn't even in the book. The Netflix series is very good. You will like it.
Yeah, it's kind of that perfect. It's that perfect trifecta where you've got like super popular show on Netflix. Then you get people who are saying, "Oh, by the way, this is based off of the game, which you need to check out." And oh, by the way, it's the holiday season, so you can get it on discount.
So okay,
the TV series is based off the books, not the video game. So
really?
If you're like me and you go into it and you're like, wait, this is straight up the books, and then never mind, I'm not going to say it because it's a spoiler.
No, there's a pretty non-spoiler way to put it. The games are sequels to the books, so that is why there's a big.
Yeah, they definitely take. The games take inspiration from the books for sure. There's certain characters and certain stories and plot lines that you're like, this is straight up from the book, only a different character.
Okay.
So
yeah, I had misheard it then. Okay.
So I guess the question is, how many of you have watched the show, or do you intend to watch the show? for The Witcher. I'm kind of curious to see where people lie on that. I'll tell you that
I think it's great.
Okay, so you've seen it.
I've watched every single one. I watched 2, and then I binge watched the last 6, and each one of them are an hour long. So I spent an entire day watching The Witcher.
Nice. Okay.
That's how much I loved it, though. So I mean,
okay, so you've watched it all. You binged it. I know it's on my list of things to watch. I want to get to the rest of the Mandalorian first.
oh yeah, I'm doing that now too.
Yeah.
That's like my next thing that I'm working on.
So I'm working on the Mandalorian, then I'll go back and watch The Witcher because I definitely want to see it. What about the rest of you, Dizza?
Let's see. It's been a little while since we've caught up. So,
the show. Are you gonna watch the show, or have you watched the show?
So I have not watched it. It's been in the queue, but it's in that weird spot where it's like I haven't actually played the games. I have not read the books, and so where do I want to start?
Okay.
You can definitely go into it. In my opinion, you can go into it not knowing anything about The Witcher, but you will be a little confused, and you'll have to probably do a second watch through. But it's one of those where when you finish it, you're like, I could definitely watch that again because now I understand what's happening with the characters in those certain scenes. Because there's like a whole nother subplot going on that you don't know about at all. Like, even though I told you, you will not pick it up.
Interesting.
Okay. Interesting. Elijah, do you plan on
Well, my response to it is basically, well, I'm probably going to have to kill less bog witches over and over and over again, so it'll definitely be more pleasant than The Witcher 3. I'm curious about it because there's a lot of concepts The Witcher is based upon that I want to love, that I should love, but I've just every time I've tried to click with it, it hasn't fully come together. So I'm hoping that maybe the Netflix series will sway me, but it's like it's on my watch list. It's something that my dad's also curious about, but I'm just sort of like the things that have sold me most are things that I'm being told that the show in particular has done. Like it's avoided any sort of like, themes of sexual assault or anything like that. And a lot of the things that just, like aren't super great about Game of Thrones, supposedly Witcher has avoided, which is something nice to hear. And that makes me curious. That makes me interested. And I'm told that Ciri is handled well, and Ciri was like one of the few characters I actually cared about. So also, once again, makes me hesitantly optimistic. But
okay.
That's about it for me. It's like, and I'm not touching the Mandalorian because that is a loaded question for a Star Wars lore nerd.
I feel like that's a whole different podcast and discussion, but sure. Okay, so general consensus is people either want to watch it or they have watched it. Good to know. Okay. So Stardew Valley, then you went to The Witcher 3 to play.
And then we just played Pokemon Shield, which I'm actually really enjoying.
Okay.
They've definitely changed some stuff since the last Pokemon, and a lot of people are up in arms about the smaller Pokedex, but as a casual player, I don't mind it.
It probably seems a little more manageable in that regard.
It definitely is. It's definitely like, okay, we have like 150 less, or I don't even know how many they pulled out, because I am not a huge Pokemon nerd. I just enjoy playing the games casually, and I'm enjoying it. It's written pretty, it's a Pokemon game. The mechanics are fun though. Like you have like a little tent that you can throw out and like cook up some food for you and your Pokemon and heal them. If you don't want to go back to like a Poke Center, you can access your computer. If you've ever played a Pokemon game, you have access to a computer that you can like store Pokemon in, aka just throw them in and forget about them forever. You can access them when you're out. There's like a link thing that you get, so you can just swap between Pokemon. You don't have to go back to one of the places. There's like a lot of little quality of life things that they've done in the game. I've yet to do any of the raid battles, but those are pretty interesting to me. Like I said, I haven't touched them, but I want to.
Sure.
It's like 4-player versus like the Gigamax Pokemon, so it looks interesting.
Okay.
I've very much just browsed and like kind of played maybe 5-ish hours of the game, maybe. So it's pretty cool. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not a hardcore Pokemon nerd, so I know chat is probably going to, well, if they could just get their hands on me.
I don't know about our chat here. I think if you had like, so I remember a year ago, for the Let's Go launch, we had N Squared here, right?
Mhm.
If we had their chat here on, they might reach through and try to strangle you. I think we're safe here with our chat, though.
I hope they're not here.
I think. Are we safe? I think we're safe. I'm pretty sure we're safe. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great game. I've enjoyed it, so I don't know what that says about other people enjoying it though. But I'm very much a casual player in general. Pretty much any game I play, I go into it pretty casually and just like, hey, let's have fun and let's enjoy this game instead of let's be the best there ever was. I don't know,
like no one's ever
but that you're supposed to. Yeah. Well, you know what I mean.
I also saw that you're doing some color by pixels.
Oh my god, yes. So last night, okay. Saturdays I don't usually stream, but
Right.
I decided since none of us really stream late night Saturdays that I would start streaming late night Saturdays so that our community has somewhere to go late night Saturday if they don't go out. So we played Stardew Valley for about 6 hours, and then I usually stream about 7 hours. But I think one of my new mods suggested that we check out coloring pixels kind of as a joke, and I was like, ha, that'd be funny or something. Haha, not really thinking about it. And then I was like, I was going to transition into Bomber Crew because Bomber Crew is a fantastic game. It's super cheap right now on Steam, and I love it. So I wanted to play it for everyone, and we had a bunch of people there, and everyone seemed really interested. And then they were like, why don't you do coloring pixels? And so I left it up to a vote in chat. And chat decided that we do coloring pixels. Now, if you don't know what coloring pixels is, it's a game. It's not really a game. It's literally paint by number, and you paint pixels, which are, squares, into different colors. And we did one, which was the Adventure Time tree. And I didn't really think people would like it. I thought we would go from like having about 75 people to like, I don't know, 40, I thought people would not be interested in that game. I was wrong. I was very wrong. People really love that game.
Okay.
People love it so much because it's free on Steam and anyone can play it.
Interesting.
So we were playing, and we were just playing like the free game that came with it, so everyone could play along with me. So we just hung out, colored pixels, and had conversations. And we wound up streaming like about 8 hours, a little more than 8 hours, and I was like, I was not expecting to put 2 hours on stream into coloring pixels. Had you asked me a week ago if I was gonna play coloring pixels on stream, I probably would have laughed at you and said, no, I would never do that. Here we are, the next day, and I've played coloring pixels on stream, and it was really good. I had a lot of fun. Chat had a lot of fun. I recommend that game.
Okay.
After the stream, I had like 2 people DM me, and then another person in my Discord asking me what was the game so that they could play it, and then 2 people saying that they stayed up way too late because they were playing it. It was a lot of fun, man.
That's awesome.
I was not expecting that game to be that good.
That's when you know you've done it right? Where people are doing that and having fun with it. That's one of the most important parts, I think. So
I'll link it in
for
chat.
that.
So
yeah, and that's part of something that I'm hoping that we'll be able to do in 2020. So you just wait for that, and what I'm set in store for that.
Are you gonna do coloring pixels but in VR?
No.
Oh my gosh, that would be so cool.
That would be cool. I was talking about the podcast and something I want to do as far as being able to But I'll tell you guys about it so you can get a heads up. But by the way, guys, 2020 stuff is coming. So cool. Coloring by pixels.
Yay.
Did we get it all? Was that everything that you've done then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've played last year. I played like 120 something games on stream, and I was like, I can't do that again. I did like a new game every day for like months. I couldn't do that. So this year, one of my resolutions was get it under 50. I did 52. I'll take it because some of them were free. So
not bad.
Some of them were free.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all I've done.
Okay. Nice. Cool. Well, Hippo, again, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you. Diz a G.
Diz a G, yep.
Hello.
Hello. How have you been doing, and what have you been playing?
I am doing pretty good. One of the things that is always most enjoyable for me around this time of the year is that tons of gifts go left and right and up and down, and I inevitably end up with a bunch of games that I've never played before and probably haven't thought about. So there were some things out there I was kind of aware of. I did pick up a PlayStation VR, and definitely enjoying that. I've learned that there are two schools of people in VR. Apparently, you can either like Beat Saber or you can like Audica, but you can't like both.
I call hacks and lies on that.
Everyone that I've spoken with on it, in real life, in fairness, I have not talked with the internet where all things happen. But
all of the things.
But in my little circle of friends where we've locally played them, it's inevitably someone says, oh gosh, you need to put Beat Saber on because this game is dumb. And I'm like, why are you calling a game dumb? Man, it didn't say anything bad to you. Or, yeah, gotta play Beat Saber, or Audica's the best. I don't know why anybody plays Beat Saber. And it's created some surprisingly big arguments within my friend group.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I see you're having the same reaction as me, Hippo. That really, but yes, go on.
I've never tried VR. I've never. So I'm just literally like I'm like looking out the window sadly as it's raining, watching all of you guys enjoy your VR, and I'm like,
oh.
Look,
I'm seeing the Doctor Who David Tennant moment.
Yeah, that too.
Oh my god,
I'm
yes.
just outside in the rain, just.
Well, you are welcome to stop on by and check out the VR at any time.
I'll head over. I'll be there in about never.
Dang. I don't know why, but yes, I am a big fan of Harmonix as a game developer, especially because they, started off Guitar Hero and then they branched off and did Rock Band. And that's like, as they transitioned over, I came right along with them. I loved what they were doing. I love that they were changing up the style a little bit. Audica gave another opportunity for that, in that it's VR. Like, it's just naturally a really fun environment to try some new things. Mm-hmm. And it gave me a little bit of, Osu vibes, because of all of the clicking around and moving. But doing so in VR with guns, anything with guns is going to be good at this point with VR. As long as it's functional as a game, like, I'm satisfied by it. And then you give me rhythm on top of it. It was absolutely wonderful.
Now, the question is, did you say this is on PlayStation VR?
Yes.
Okay, never mind. Just scratch my question I was about to ask.
Oh, no, please ask it anyways. We can imagine.
I was going to ask if you've been using your Fit along with that then.
Yeah. Obviously, that hasn't really been an option.
Right, but I was saying to scratch that, but...
I mean, tracking how much time I've been spending exercising is good, and I've been doing that in other means.
Okay.
More importantly, I think it's interesting to see all of these games give you incentives for making it more of an exercise. So, like, there are challenges that you can play in Audica where you can add, like, you have to move your arms at least 500 meters over the course of the track, which, depending on what you're doing on the track, can be really difficult.
Yeah.
And then, of course, with Beat Saber, if you make an arc of, I think it's like 120 degrees when you swing, that's what maximizes your points in it. So you are definitely being encouraged to make these wild swings that create exercise. And I think that that's a really cool concept, especially in these rhythm games. I don't think you're going to see it in a lot of other stuff. Like if you're looking for like an immersive VR experience where you feel like you're in a story, that's not going to happen. But for something that you can play every day, absolutely rock it.
Yeah, I could absolutely see. So I didn't realize there was a PlayStation VR version of the game, but that's good to know nonetheless. Because it seems like it's a less expensive barrier of entry.
Yeah, even Budget Cuts is apparently finally coming to PSVR sometime in the coming year.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh yeah, with the offers that were going on for Black Friday, that does not surprise me at all. I am sure that they're teasing the price point already with those offers that were going on. So it'll definitely be accessible. The trade-off is, of course, especially with a game like Audica or Beat Saber, that you're going to pay for a lot of DLC that you otherwise could just be inserting into the game by making your own tracks. It's all stuff that's been curated, and that's also going to be one of those things that I think will trade off between PC and PlayStation VR. Having something where all of the steps in a song are predetermined for you versus kind of automatically generated makes for a better rhythm game in my experience. But there are two schools on that too, so.
Sure. Okay, so Audica you've been playing, and what else have you been playing in this?
All right. Death Stranding has been absolutely awesome. I have not spent as much time with it as Hippo has. I look forward to said vehicles desperately. And I
just stick with it.
I may have spent an unusually long amount of time just trying to find random packages sitting out in the world and moving them places.
My advice is don't do that. Just go. You can come back for them later. They will be there, or others will be there. There will always be packages left behind by other couriers. Just go get a motorcycle, and then you can do that.
Yeah, it's just...
Or really just keep going until you get a truck, which is pretty far, though.
Yeah, I had no idea. I kept myself as blind as possible. So the moment that, like, I'm walking through this area and I start seeing that glint of a vehicle sitting nearby, and I'm like, I have just spent 14 hours moving things from one city to another. What was I doing?
It's so when you leave the main city, like the main town that you just start out in, you walk past giant trucks that have chained like lasers on their tires so they can't go anywhere, and you're like, what is that? I could just okay. And you walk back and forth like many times, and you just walk by and you're like, man, you know, it'd be really nice, one of those trucks that would just go over the rocks, that would just drive me to where I'm going.
Sure.
I do also want to make this point about Death Stranding. For a game where walking is the primary duty that you have, the level of detail and the amount of different rules and functions that are going on in that process is staggering in a very beautiful way. I never realized that I should have more buttons than what's on my controller, literally just for movement.
Yeah, I agree.
And yet at the same time, I want more buttons.
It's a great game because even when you're walking, I love the part when like you're walking far away, the game recognizes that you're going really far away, and it zooms out and just starts playing a song, and you're like, oh, this is super cinematic. And even though there's no baddies around, it's kind of like a boring section of the game. And then they start playing really good music. By the way, the soundtrack the Death Stranding is probably the best soundtrack I've ever heard in any game.
100% agree.
So good. It's so good, and it's fitting.
Exactly. It's not the sort of music that I would listen to on an everyday basis, but how it is used in the context of the game is pure art.
Oh, absolutely. I could go on and on about Death Stranding, but it's just really good, you guys. It's really good.
Yeah. And it's so hard to say things because you don't want to spoil any piece of it. It's like some of my favorite shows where like what am I looking for? Umbrella Academy is one of those ones that you can't even talk about the first episode before you're feeling like, I'm telling you too much. I can't do this. You just need to watch this. You just need to play Death Stranding.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that it came out when it did, because I think it would have won more awards had it been given the time for audiences to speak to it.
I'm sure they'll definitely give it some awards and stuff. I don't see how they can't, because even though it came out like late or whatever, it's still so good that it's going to transcend any of that.
Well, I still think so. Hold on. This is something we talked about the last episode too, is that we still have every reason to think that the 2020 VGA is going to have a ton of Death Stranding, at least as nominations for awards. It's just that because they didn't make that deadline for the VGAs, they didn't get nominated.
I don't even think that the VGAs were even on the list about the game, like releasing the game. I don't even think they even thought about it. They were like, "Who cares?"
Yeah, I mean, I think that we'll see that in 2020, right? I honestly think we will.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And like we said, we touched on it before, but it will come to PC in 2020, so it's definitely going to be on the VGAs for sure. And even if it isn't, who cares? It's an amazing game, and it will. No doubt, it will win awards even outside the VGA.
In a very competitive field, if it ends up being focused in on 2020 games.
Yeah.
If you
I'm excited. I'm excited for this year.
Oh, without a doubt. I've played a lot of the other stuff that the crew's been playing. Pokemon Sword and Shield, absolutely wonderful. I've had a blast. I need to get myself back into it, and it's definitely my key game for Switch right now.
Yeah, same.
So anytime that I get the opportunity to play Switch specifically, like I'm on a road trip, that is what I'm playing. On PC, I've been pleasantly surprised by Supergiant's latest early access game, Hades.
Hasn't that been out for a while on Epic?
It has, but it just got released on Steam, and I am embarrassed to say that I haven't been playing around in Epic because I've been weird about that.
Yeah. I know people get like really touchy or weird about Epic, and I don't care. I want to play a game, and if I want to play a game, I'm going to play the game. And Hades is one of those games that I haven't stayed away from because of Epic or anything, but it wasn't done, and I didn't want to. The problem that I have is that there's so many games that come out in early access, and I play the hell out of them, right? And I burn myself out on them, and they're not finished, and then they come out, and it's like I don't even have a want to go back to that game.
Yeah, I've
been like not playing games that are in early access, or trying to at least.
Yeah, there's some things you get enough hype about it, and it's very difficult not to.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think that in this situation, Hades has gotten far enough where it feels like a full game, and they're just adding the polish. Kind of like where Dead Cells was as they were doing patch 4 and 5.
Yeah, Dead Cells was like one of the things that came to mind. So I had played Dead Cells as soon as it came out. I was on top of that game, and I really enjoyed it. But I played a lot of it, and then I stopped playing because there was nothing new, and I was waiting for patches, and when you wait for patches, you kind of forget about the game and move on to other things, and then you don't really go back. Or at least I don't. That's my problem, is I don't really go back. It's like, all right, well, this game is now the way it is forever, you know? My time at Porsche, for instance, we were talking about this last night. Like, I played that game when it first came out, and then I burnt out on it because there was like no content when it came out, and they have slowly, I guess, been releasing patches for it. But even now, I look at it and it looks like the same game. It has the same weird, like, foggy sheen. The voice acting is hit or miss depending on the microphone quality. That, like, nothing has really changed all that much. So
Yeah, I'm actually seeing that I'm wrong about what I thought about the VGA, because I thought we talked about this a few weeks ago too.
well, we did.
Yeah, there was some issue with it. Now I can't seem to recall what it was. I'm crossing my wires somewhere. Anyway, sorry.
I can
Things that bug
certainly
you
say
when you're live, like, shit, what the hell? I thought we talked about this. And now
Streamer
this
brain is real. Streamer brain is a real thing.
It really is a real thing.
Well, and of course, I think that was during the stream where I had to head out and in short notice.
Yeah, it was just
So that doesn't help either.
Me. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, definitely, I will recommend Hades as something that you can enjoy now and feel like it's a fulfilled game. I don't think that it'll be a spot, even when the full release comes out, that you'll say, man, I wish I had waited out for this. It's got, like, the storytelling is really, really good, especially for a game that, you know, it at its core plays like any other roguelite, but has all of these elements of just polish that I've come to expect of Supergiant, and the art is just gorgeous. But we knew that from day one. We knew that the moment that Supergiant was saying, hey, we're making another game.
Of course. How come? So Bastion and Transistor were very, like, on mark. What happened with Pyre? I know this is like a totally derailed, like, topic here, but what happened with Pyre? Because Pyre was like another one of those games that came out, but it just kind of flew under the radar for me. And then I was like on Spotify and I was like, what is this? This is really good. What? They came out with another game, and then I just never played it because it had been out for a really long time, and I was like, I'm working on other stuff.
Legit, the exact same thing happened to me 2 weeks ago when I started to get into Hades. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely amazing. But this isn't multiplayer. I heard that Supergiant was making something that was multiplayer. Gosh, what was that thing?
Yeah, oh yeah. I don't think it ever actually did. That's the thing, is like, that's why it's like, I think Pyre was supposed to be, but somehow it got cut. I could swear that it got cut.
Okay.
Or if it was there, it was not what sold people. Like, I know a lot of people who played it, but it did have a lot of getting people aware of it in terms of issues. It's like, it seemed to be trapped a lot more in the indie space than you'd think anything by Supergiant would. Like, you would think that Transistor or Bastion, those would be the ones that would be a hard sell versus a competitive game, but not. It weirdly just kind of got locked away for certain people.
Yeah, I didn't even hear about it, and then I heard music from it because I listened to a lot of Bastion and Transistor music on stream, and Spotify was like, hey, you like this, maybe like this, and I was like, I do like this. What is this?
Well, I think all the composition for any of the games, it's all good. I mean,
oh yeah,
I can still listen to the Bastion soundtrack easily. You know, and how old is that game now? Coming up on 10 years?
Really? Has it been 10 years? Wow.
Pretty close, I'm pretty sure.
I just remember
nobody
playing
expected
Bastion.
Supergiant.
Yeah, no, I remember playing Bastion. And I was like, man, this game has really good music. How come more games don't have really good music? What is going on?
2011. 2011.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow. That was a different lifetime ago.
Yeah, right? Supergiant bombs all over that with their music composition, though.
Yeah. Their narration.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And especially in Bastion, but I think Hades picks up on that especially well. Having the narrator effectively do so much of the work for you in setting the environment. Oh
yeah.
I'm in love. I hope they do more.
Oh, sure.
Me too. Hopefully I'll hear about it though. That's what I want.
Yeah, right. Cool. Anything else you've
That
been
pretty
playing?
Nah, that pretty much exhausts it. I mean,
Okay.
there's little tiny stuff, but nothing that's worth really talking about at this point.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah.
What have you been playing?
I love it when you guys get to ask me that. It's been a lot of the same stuff. I've of course been doing a lot of the GTRP. It's been a lot of of course I've been on a different character lately, so it's been fun to experience the world from a slightly different perspective. It's really interesting when you're involved in a huge like RP community with a lot of characters, and then you get to play another character, and then you get to see things from another perspective, and you're like, oh,
Role playing.
is that really how that works? Oh shit. Okay. What is he even saying?
I don't know. He's
know.
very quiet to me. Even
I
I
said
boosted
role
him.
play. It's a hell of a drug.
It really is. Like, yeah. No, it's been fun to do that. The have that experience from another perspective, another character. I've been doing that. Went back into Elite Dangerous. It was nice to just use. I forgot how freaking zen deep core mining is. Like,
Elite has some really nice, relaxing gameplay.
So on Friday, I was doing deep core mining, and I was so relaxed that I could have fallen asleep deep core mining. It was that chill. But that's what I got to enjoy too. We were streaming it, so we were able to just chat while we were looking for space gems. It was a good time. I had a lot of fun with it. A couple new games I've been playing though is, oddly enough, I have also been playing Audica. I've got it on Steam, and this is where please, yes.
What's the how responsive is it? Like, does it feel 110% like secure when you're firing those guns?
I'm trying to get my timing down because I feel like there's times where I'm like, I hit it and it's like late. Like, what do you mean late? I hit it just like everything else. I'm doing it to the rhythm of the music, but apparently not.
I have a pro tip for you.
Okay.
And this is good for anybody who ever plays Audica in the history of ever.
Okay.
Play your first song and act as if the audio is just perfectly in time. Don't care about the visual so much. And then look and see what your average time is. And you'll see that like all of your scores will hit into a certain spot. They'll be like, oh, you're 29 milliseconds early on average, or you're 40 late. And then use that to change the timing, and everything will eventually align the way that it's supposed to.
You hear that music inquiries? I'm coming for you now. We got the pro tip coming in from that. Because of course I'm doing a competition with a couple other folks that play on Steam, and we are of course trying to destroy each other's scores.
How many people play on Steam? Because like on PlayStation I've been playing it, and I'm like top 50 in a couple of tracks that admittedly like I'm nerding out about. But I was expecting that there would be more people on it, and there don't seem to be.
I know that the scores I saw had 4-digit numbers on it. Like my placement was like 2,149th out of who knows how many, even with a couple of the perfect runs I had.
And you are really good at rhythm games. Like, I have confidence in that. So there have to be a lot more people playing it on PC versus VR. Just by definition.
I not to toot my own horn or anything, but I did have a conversation prior to the podcast starting, and I had another person who does a rhythm game say that you're diamond leveled. You're so fucking hard to beat. And they're like, thank you. I'll take that huge compliment. I'll just pin that right here.
Can I convert that into StarCraft 2, please? Thanks.
Oh, shit. Cripes. I'm always a Bronze League hero in that.
Dirt League for life.
You're right. Oh, cripes. But no, it's been a lot of fun. So here's the thing. I've been playing more Beat Saber too. So for my rhythm games and trying to, because I use Year Fit to track everything, right? Is I've been trying to switch it up so I don't burn out on Synth Riders, because of course I play that too. So I was switching up doing Beat Saber, and then for Christmas, I was given a Steam gift card, and the first thing I bought, I'm like, Audica, hands down, getting Audica. So I bought it that day. I've had 2 or 3 different sessions of the game now, and I've had a lot of fun with it. And I first off, harmonics. You know, you were talking about harmonics earlier, and that was one of the big things that I think nailed it too. Because watching it, I wasn't too sure until I started playing it. I'm like, oh, this is why it's fun. Got it. And harmonics is so good at trying to for that hook in rhythm games. They've mastered the technique before.
Yeah. They cheated for me a little bit just because they had Zed and Deadmau5 in the base game. That was enough to be like, no, I'm done. I'm in.
Oh, my big one where I was like, oh, yep, I need to play that was KDA.
Yes.
I saw KDA. I'm like, yep, I gotta do KDA. Yep.
Although KDA is also available in Beat Saber, is that not right?
Yes, it is. Yep.
So, which do you prefer? You're going to pick a team.
Oh shit. Audica. I think I prefer the Audica.
See, I knew I could trust you on this one.
Yeah. Not that Beat Saber is bad, but there's something about the Audica. Like, I think part of it is like because I of course add additional movements with my arms and like steps as I'm doing the different rhythms, and it just feels more fluid than Beat Saber does. Beat Saber, though it can be fun and can have fluidic movement, it feels more rigid, and I think that's the only thing that makes Audica score higher for me in my perspective and how I feel about it.
Yeah. I've heard it both ways, and I think that's maybe where it comes down to it, is like with Audica, there are certain things where you actually have to fire at either vertically or horizontally. You don't have the choice. And so a lot of people get bothered by that, and they're like, well, what if I want to play it at the diagonal? Why do you have to do this to me?
Right.
But Beat Saber kind of does the same thing in different ways, and it's just like, which one is the one that's comfortable for you?
Right. And I think part of that comes from the fact that, like, if you were to tell me or ask me Beat Saber or Synth Riders, I'm going to tell you Synth Riders because it's the same. It's more fluidic. It's not as rigid, and I think that's what it is about Audica that gets me too. Hippo, I feel like I should be playing the sad violin for you right now. I'm just watching you up in your corner, and
life is unfair.
In fact, you won't hear it. You won't hear it on your end. But my end, everyone here, everyone on our end, on the stream, they'll hear the sad violin.
I feel
everyone
it.
Else
I feel
here,
it in my heart.
Everyone else here has played some sort of VR game. Literally never once been in a VR game.
If it makes you feel any better as the skeptic of the group, it's nice, but honestly, I think the thing that I liked most about using the PSVR was playing a flat game with the virtual screen function, because then I stopped having to worry about using a really tiny screen. That was probably the nicest thing about it. Everything else, it was kind of like, if I could,
I feel like I would bomb.
If I could just have head tracking, I would be doing just as well. Like, I don't really need the screen right up there.
I mean, there is head tracking that you can get, Track IR.
Yeah, but that's
like $150.
Port, and it's not going to do a lot of games. Otherwise, I would be interested in that. But
really, because I've like every game that I've ever wanted to use it.
The eye tracking too. It's fairly limited.
I've never used eye tracking. I used the Track IR with the Track Clip Pro, which you just like track or you clip onto your headset.
Yep.
And it is pretty damn good, unless you go too far, in which case then your head goes and you're like, oh, I'm gonna vom right now just watching the screen.
You just made me wonder about Euro Truck Simulator in VR.
You could do that. I've used Track IR in it.
Yeah.
And I only stopped using Track IR for streams because people get sick. Because I'll look over to my other monitor to read chat.
Yep.
And then I'll look back, and my character's looking to the right and to the left, and people get really motion sick. So I stopped using it, but I love it. It's really good if you play by yourself, or you don't care that your audience is going to get vomity, and if you don't care,
think of it as an added benefit, really.
Yeah. Like, hey, now you really feel like you're in the truck with me. look, guys, look. And yeah, I mean, I played Elite Dangerous with Track IR. I used to stream when I streamed Elite Dangerous when I first started. It was like the second game that I had ever played besides Stardew Valley. That transition, I knew what I was doing. I transitioned from Stardew Valley into Elite Dangerous, and I tried. This was before I even had a camera, so like, I had it on, and my buddy was going to scoop up some cargo, and I was like, okay, be careful, because if you hit this thing at high speed, it will blow up. And we've been tracking this thing for like the last half an hour. Don't blow it up. And right after I said that, he boosted into it and blew it up. And I start cracking up, right? But I'm like, ah, ha, 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 with my head just like tilted back. And you can see in the game that my head is just like cracking up.
Love it. Love it.
But yeah, Track IR is great. And I mean, it might not work for every game, but it's got a lot of game categories that it is just defaulted set to. So, and you can just set it to whatever game you're playing. It's really easy. The software is really easy.
Makes you happy, then you've basically experienced VR. You just haven't been able to turn a full round 360 to look behind you to go, yeah, the level designers didn't put anything behind me, so I'm looking, but there's not much for
I want that for Elite, dude. I want to look behind my... Look, there's certain ships in VR, or in Elite Dangerous, that you hear like a wild animal behind you, and you're like, what the hell is that? I just want to look. But when you can't
have
look,
a wild animal in your ship, I think that's a bigger concern than looking around.
I want to see it. It's hiding behind my chair. Okay,
right now.
It's hiding behind my chair, and I want to see it. I want to look at it.
Look,
you know what I'm talking about? The Cobra, when you boost, you hear like, you're like, what the hell was that?
I've not heard that in so long.
But I know that is the Cobra itself, and apparently the Cobra is a snake and also a cat at the same time.
It is.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually cat powered. Like
it's
they've got
cat snake.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about though.
Space game, gotcha.
Right. Right. Yeah. No. Sorry that I completely derailed with that, but yeah, no. Euro Truck in VR. There you go.
Do it.
I do that.
I will watch that stream.
If I can make it, oh god, could you imagine if it could make that work?
I don't have any doubts that you could make it work.
Oh
People
yeah, actually,
definitely.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut off, but Super Bunny Hop actually has a guide for making PSVR work with PC for pretty much anything old school that's flat. Like he got things like Metroid Prime, because that's it. Dolphin actually has VR support and everything. So a lot of flat games are very much available, and they will look decent in VR. It takes a little bit of middleware, but nothing too detrimental to your actual performance. And
well, I'm imagining that if you can do it with PSVRs, then you could do it with like Oculus and Vive as well. Then you have to be able to do it.
Probably.
It's just a matter of simply trying. In fact, Up
Euro Truck
did a really great video on it for Fallout New Vegas.
There you go.
Huh. Oh my gosh, I don't want to be in the Fallout series in virtual reality. That sounds very dangerous.
It does.
Look, as long as there's no smell, it's fine.
True.
Fair.
I've
now with smell-o-vision
in that game, and I'm like, nope.
Nope.
I will turn off smell-o-vision for this.
So, I'm trying to think, what else have I been playing besides Elite and Oddcut? Oh, Mario Maker on Switch. Mario Maker 2.
Oh, so have you been making, or have you more just been challenging yourself?
I've been challenging myself right now. My ability to make levels, not that great. My ability to play levels, better. That doesn't say much, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun to be able to just play it. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question though?
Sure.
Why do you do this to yourself?
I don't do the really like ridiculously difficult levels. I do ones that are, a challenge, but not ones where you're like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Because those suck.
0.01% wins.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't need to do those. I've been playing that.
I just see people play that game, and how do you not punch your monitor? Like, I don't.
Couldn't tell you.
I'm really, really bad at platforming, though. I'm really bad at it.
I couldn't tell ya. I couldn't tell you. I watched people like Hannah Bart play, and I watched some of the levels she plays. Like, how do you even? I don't know.
It just seems like torture, like pure torture. It's literally hell for me. If you made a platformer with QTEs, that is actually hell for me. And unskippable cutscenes, that's literally hell for me. So
God, it's hell.
I want a Mario game with QTE now, just
Oh,
to see how it would
God.
work.
no,
please.
platforming QTEs, dude, with unskippable cutscenes and like 65 FOV. There you go.
No.
I don't even know how you have like a platformer with 65 FOV, but there you
In
go.
VR.
Oh. Oh God, no. That's vomit inducing. Pretty sure of it. I think that's everything then. It's been Rhythm VR games with EarFit, tracking everything, the RP Elite and Mario Maker.
Have
Really?
you used your dice yet?
Huh?
Have you used your dice yet?
I haven't used my. Yeah, so okay, I talked about this before the show, guys, but since we have it on the show, I got 4 sets of dice for Christmas. It's like people know that I'm a role player or something. I like dice. Yeah.
And they are gorgeous. Can I just say,
Yeah.
like, they are some amazingly gorgeous dice.
So we got 1 set there. The guilds are is it Ravnica? It's the Magic the Gathering.
Ravnica. Ravnica, I think.
Is it Ravnica? The Magic the Gathering D&D crossover? Yeah, that's what those dice are. I need to figure out the campaign because I want to know what that big D10 is for. A friend who felt that you have to be able to have dice on the go, so you can see the keyring here.
They're so tiny and adorable.
Uh-huh. And the magnet.
And I love the, like, is that a wooden keychain then?
Yes, it's a wooden keychain with that on the cover of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's called Purple Heart. It's from Elderwood Academy. Then I got metal dice.
So what character do you play with metal dice?
That's a good question. You know, Gene.
Stone golems.
Gene probably would be one that uses metal dice.
Mm.
So if I knew,
I would also accept like anything in Shadowrun. I feel like that would be appropriate.
Shadowrun would be good for that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't do like a Shadowrun or Starfinder or anything like that. I know people play it, but. And the last set is from a dice maker named Yanner, Yanir. So these particular dice.
Oh, the surfaces are so shiny.
Right, and they're really light. This is like, of all my dice, these are definitely the lightest.
Mm-hmm.
She does amazing work. Her dice are anywhere from like $80 to $120. I'm friends with her, so these are dice that she made and then gifted to me.
Wow, those are so cool. I've seen dice like that at conventions and thought these are absolutely fantastic, but I could never legitimize getting them for myself. As a gift for the holidays, that's like perfect. Like I would feel so good like getting a set of those for my DM.
Oh yeah. You know, I might throw a link to these particular dice since I know her and she's got a shop for them where you can find these. But yeah, these are really nice. They feel so good when you roll them.
Mm.
Let's just see quick. Let's see what this comes up quick since we mentioned it. Let's just roll a d20 quick.
Uh-oh. Critical failure. Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Is that a sign for the podcast to come?
I don't know yet. Maybe the 13 just means that maybe this is a point where we can go ahead and take our mid-roll break. Is that?
Oh,
I think that's what that means.
I didn't see that on the roll list. You're right, though.
Yeah. I think that's what that means. So, This is our chance to go ahead and get up, move around, stretch, go to the bathroom. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on iTunes, we'll be right back. For those that are watching live, this is the opportunity to do this stuff. We will see you all in a short bit. If you're subbed, you will not see the quick ad roll that comes through, but it's just a 30-second. Just deal with it, guys. It's a short one.
Just deal with it.
Just deal with it. It'll be done before you know it. We'll see you all in a few minutes.
If she rolled a 2,
Eat it.
I mean, if it's anything like Weasel Poop coffee, then
it is. Caribou coffee is exactly like Weasel Poop coffee, except with mousse. That's why everybody likes it, where you can get
But
it.
moose are not caribou.
I mean, it's difficult to find caribou, okay?
Just go
Do you know how expensive that stuff is? The most expensive coffee in the world is pooped by monkeys. You know what? Like, let's knock it down a bit because
I thought it was
we're
the
in
weasel- the cat snake coffee.
every time you
Wow.
warp, your cat snake just poops out coffee, and that's how you live in space.
And Michelle's just staring at this. I'm going to assume we're unmuted at this point. We're still just having this conversation.
Yeah.
She's quietly going internally, going, "How did I end up here tonight?"
Yeah, no, everyone got to hear that about Caribou Coffee. Just as we got joined by a whole another group of people. Everyone, welcome back to the Newbcast podcast, where we talk about coffee apparently, and where it
It's
comes
made
from.
from
I don't know.
Hey, you know,
monkeys.
gamers need to be highly caffeinated, and as adults, you know what I'm talking about.
For
You have
context,
to have an opinion on coffee.
look, I'm sorry, Caribou is just that good. This all stemmed because someone saw this on my desk, because this is what I'm having right now.
This
But
is
it's
my
not
fault.
coffee.
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But Tim Hortons is amazing and may or may not have to be studied by whoever it is in Canada who studies FDA, because it probably has cocaine in it.
Look, it's nothing compared to Caribou, but that's, yeah, see? I know
That's not the point.
I've
People
got,
keep
I've
going
got a
to it.
moderator here that's got my back on this, so anyway.
I just heard that like caribou coffee was made by monkeys pooping. So,
No, moose. Totally different.
well, I don't know. The way we were talking a minute ago, it sounded
Well,
like
let's-
caribou coffee was
Shit's
monkey
in a cup
coffee.
of coffee in the forest. Does anyone taste it?
Yes, people do taste it because
You guys are unreal.
people are weird. I don't know.
Buttspot understands all of this. And personally, I'm glad to have some sort of support.
I'm pretty sure Buttspot's a real person, by the way.
Maybe. I found out you also can order it on Amazon, so if you really want to know what we're talking about, you can order it that way.
True.
Just saying. So the things that we were actually going to talk about. Can we talk
Yeah,
about what we were
there's-
We
actually
had
gonna talk about?
ideas of what we're gonna talk
I
about.
know.
What?
Yeah, because it wasn't hot chocolate and coffee, oddly enough. No.
Oh,
We are a couple days away from the end of the year. Also,
We're
we're
a couple
we're a couple
Whoa,
of days away
whoa.
from the end.
of the decade.
of the decade. Yeah, so we got quite a bit there to talk about. So yeah, we did this last year too, guys. And we talked so much about year in review that it took up the whole back half of the show. So yeah, that's basically it. But there's a lot to talk about because there's a lot that happened over the year and over the decade. So yeah.
In the interest of having some organization in this,
Yes.
I think we should do this in a battle royale style, where we put out a game as the best game of 2019, and then we counteract it with our alternative options.
Well, we already know where Elijah's gonna stand on every game that's been good in like the popular culture. So
Shots fired.
I mean, that's already one. It's already one down for every game. So it's really between us three.
All right, boy. I want you to guess what my top game of the decade is. Let's see what your genius ass can guess.
whoa. wait.
No,
I already know
2019.
this.
2019
We
was
got to do this year first. I mean,
Well,
we got to
stick
see what
with
the
the year
nominees are before the final results of the decade. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I mean, I was just gonna say, the Doritos Locos game that we were talking about.
I still don't
in the
believe that's
break.
actually a game that exists.
Is it a game that exists? I don't know. I just made stuff up. If
Well,
that's a
there
thing that actually
is
exists, then I think I need to stream it.
Like Chex Mix Doom.
There was Chex. There's all fruit candy. I'm blanking on the name. I know the tagline, but I can't actually think of the candy's name, which I'm sure would just make the people who made it also they're happy. Taste the rainbow. That one. Yes, Skittles actually has an action platformer with incredibly snarky protagonists for 6th gen that apparently a lot of people actually love because it basically knows that it's a licensed tie-in game for a candy. So the developers were just like, we are not taking a single ounce of this seriously, and we are just going to have fun with it with this check that we were handed. So that's a thing that exists. I think actually I think Polygon actually did an article on it. So
I know
there you go.
Elijah's favorite game of the year. I know it.
What are you feeling?
It is the Colonel Sanders dating game.
Oh fuck!
Ooh.
Fuck no.
His response is so good.
The fact you can even consider that expresses a deep concern about how little you can gauge. Say. But please, let's see everyone else go first now, because the guess has been cast, and the guess was about as close as, well, someone thinking that 3 Mile Island and Iwo Jima were the same place.
Okay. If we were talking all games that came out this year, I'll start this off, knowing full well that this is going to be battered to a bloody pulp.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start with the Wendy's role-playing RPG.
Oh, that is a thing that came out. And apparently it was pretty decent.
I'm sad I was reminded about that.
It was...
Yeah, I forgot.
It was full of things. It was thorough.
Repress these memories. Does that?
It had content.
Yeah.
Sort of.
There were meaningful classes, and there were cross-class abilities. Like, for something that is about being in the world of Wendy's, and the different orders of them. Yeah, the different orders. Like, the order of the chicken nuggets. That's what I get when I go to Wendy's.
World
As you
Wendy's. Should. Do I have to pay a subscription now to
It's
walk
the WoW killer, you guys. World of Wendy's.
World of Wendy's, please.
I mean, we already had Kung Fu Panda come to World of Warcraft. At this point, I wouldn't even be surprised.
Yes.
That saddens me a bit. World of Wendy's. So it's actually WoW.
It's called Feast of Legends, because of course it is. Feast of Legends, dude. It's a tabletop RPG.
Unreal.
They should make it in Unreal. I agree.
Yes. You know what? Yes. Or achieve.
Is this on Tabletop Sim?
That's the only other way I can
go.
achieve with CryEngine 3.
I bet it would be. Okay, so
clearly best game of 2019. Nobody can make any arguments against this.
So
Try.
what about best game of 2019, which was a flash in the pan? Apex Legends.
Ooh.
It's not my cup of tea, but
So I will give you that.
Attack. So I mean,
We're throwing out games that were popular, right? And we're gonna have a battle royale to the end. Why not have the battle royale that came out this year, which had a ton of popularity and for a short time threatened the throne of Fortnite?
I wonder if I will agree or disagree with Elijah.
Okay. So before we go Fortnite versus the Wendy's role-playing game, I think it's important to recognize that Wendy's was ridiculous and was basically doing it to fight Arby's, which is weird. They should be allies in this fight. You think that they'd be like supporting nations or something, but no.
No, Arby's sucks.
And I mean, Apex was fighting Fortnite,
and
I think it was. But I think Apex has some real innovations, and brought interest in a different way. I liked the idea of quick reviving, and that was one thing with Fortnite that playing it really frustrated me, because if I lose and I'm in a squad and I've got 4 other people with me, I could lose half my squad and the rest of the squad's going to still play, and I'm waiting on them because they're my friends, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about you two? Thoughts on, because we're probably gonna have a few games for this round. Before it goes into the as the circle starts to collapse on itself.
I mean, I liked Apex. It wasn't my favorite, but if I was gonna play a battle royale game, I'd play that one.
If I'm gonna play a battle royale game, I'd play the Cycle. At least that one doesn't give me an anxiety attack and make my chest feel like it's closing in. Seriously, has anyone else here played the Cycle? Because I feel like I need to drag your arses into playing the Cycle.
Is that the one with like the really cute bunnies and animals that are the battle royale? It's like a barnyard battle royale.
No, the Cycle is essentially 20-minute long MMO where everyone is open free for all, and you're all trying to complete jobs as fast as possible. And it's honestly a better Western than Red Dead Redemption's ever been.
Ooh.
I've had double crosses. I stole a mining rig with a Frenchman from some random guy from Brazil who was cursing at us as he leaped out of the mining rig down into a lake below because he was outmatched. I've done prospecting. I've tried the various jobs. Like, I'm kind of amazed at what Jaeger was able to pull off with it. It's really good, and it's not even fully released yet. It's still in early access.
I was gonna say, why haven't I heard about this? Oh. It's because it's on Epic, so people don't talk about that stuff.
It's actually also coming to Steam. It's doing the early access period like Hades on Epic. So it's a bit of a middle ground right there for that, but it plays well. It's well optimized. They're regularly adding.
Oh my god, it's so loud. It's so loud. It's so loud. Oh, I went to their website. It's so loud. Oh my god.
What you did, it was never that loud for me.
Go to their website and destroy your ear.
I'll pass. Thank you.
I do like that as a concept of like, let's play 60-second hero, but as like a largely competitive game.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and that's the beautiful thing is not everyone is constantly trying to shoot you, which is part of the reason why it's not hugely anxiety-inducing. You come in with a pre-made loadout that you can swap other things out of from what you find in the field. You just have to pay for it by earning in-game credits. So as a result, there's something reliable there. The jobs are explained as you play them, and there's actually a mid-matchmaking tutorial area where you can practice all of them so you know what the hell you're doing. And what's more, you can pretty reasonably make a lot of alliances. There's matchmaking for groups, and yeah, I had a really good time playing that one. It was really just genuinely fun, like always something new happening, and I love that people will more often get into like a Mexican standoff, everyone pointing guns at each other rather than just going blam, blam, blam. So yeah, I'm going to say I'm obliged to that. I'm kind of open to that.
Okay.
So yeah, but that's not my pick for what I'm throwing in here.
Okay.
You're gonna have a few opportunities here, so it's not just one game. There's a few that you get to throw in here.
I'm immediately thinking of that Xbox commercial where everybody's running around with the finger guns, the commercial that got banned.
What? What?
There was an Xbox commercial that got banned. I want to say this was like early this decade, which, hey, we're talking about this decade, right? Where there are people in a shopping mall and they do this fake standoff using handguns, but it's like hands as guns, like making the shape of it. And like you see this commercial just go like dominoes over 30 seconds. It's absolutely wonderful.
I got
so kind of like that.
I guess I could understand it, but sort of.
The mutually assured destruction. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everybody is trying to make the most they can, and the people who win aren't the ones who get the most kills. They're the ones who get the jobs. Because if you actually kill people, the game marks you. It will flat out just mark you and make it so that whoever kills you actually gets more points. You will end up elevating someone else. in the process. So, like I said, there's a lot of things here that's like, you know what? Yeah, I really like this. This is something that I haven't seen before, and someone found a way to make this genre not incredibly physically damaging to me. So it's like, good on you, Jaeger. So I guess I will let that be the first one I toss in. Then, since we're going to be doing multiple, I will save my favorite of the year for later.
Fair.
All right. So what are you throwing in for the first round?
The cycle.
The cycle. Okay. Epo, what are you throwing in for your first round?
I don't even know. So we're battling games between all four of us.
We're gonna let's do 3 rounds of games from 2019 that stood out as top games, and then we'll
That's not fair. There's like not a lot of games that came out that were like good this year.
Oh, are there?
I can think of a few. Like, I feel like I'm gonna have a good round 2 and 3, and I threw away my round 1. I know I did.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let me look at the games that I've played this year, which is like 52 of them. That came out this year?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I actually, this, I don't know if any of you have actually played this game, Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey.
Ah, there you go.
AKA
Okay.
Kinkle Snapping Simulator or Monkey Simulator.
Okay.
I never played Control, so I can't say. Control.
Yeah, that's my problem too. Is I want to say Control, but I never got to play it. Craft has gotten to play my copy and has told me that it is amazing and that I will love it. But work has not exactly allowed for an easy time to play that. And now,
yeah, if Crafty was here in this episode, she would be all about Control. I think that's an honorable mention because we have someone that is literally in the other room that would fight tooth and nail for that.
That's not fair. She's not here.
That's why it's only an honorable mention.
Okay, cause yeah, that I never got to play it, so it's not fair, you know. Like I wanted to play it, I just didn't because I had other stuff going on.
Sure. Okay, so Ancestors. Did you? Okay, that's an interesting choice, but that's fair. What's your round 2 there?
Oh gosh, yeah, we need to go around the other way because that's not fair at that point. If I get the first pick out of all of them,
all right.
like
well, how about this? We'll just
let's mix it up.
Okay, I'll go first then for round 2. Round 2 for games this year that were good, well received, popular, whatnot that we've played.
Mm-hmm.
The Division 2.
Was that really this year? It feels like it was so long ago. But yeah, I suppose it was first quarter this year, wasn't it?
Sure was.
I can make complaints on it, but I did play it. Very poorly optimized, but still fun. The Division.
Yeah, the optimization wasn't the best, but it had a lot of fun gameplay. The ability to be able to play with people was pretty well done. Overall, I enjoyed it though. I even played it relatively recently too.
Do we have rules that if the game came out in a previous year, but it went 1.0 out of early access?
If it's 1.
Does that count?
If it's
I think that counts.
If 1.0 this year counts.
Okay.
Yeah. To the point of Division 2, I think the real story about Division 2, and this goes past it just being a very solid game, which it was, but I think there is something to be said about a game that got panned, had real issues in its first iteration, got repaired a little too late for it to actually be meaningful in the original Division, and then the sequel got the sort of reception that I think it rightfully deserved from the get-go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's fair.
I mean, I agree that it's a good game, but I also noticed that it kind of fell off like a month and a half in, maybe, like after release, not even that.
I kind of felt that was the thing for a lot of games, though, right? Because Apex, my first pick was the exact same thing, right? Where it was very popular 2 months after that. It disappeared in its popularity.
Okay.
Okay.
If we're looking for a game that has real staying power, as a game that like I would show people 10 years from now and say this was well designed and ridiculous amounts of fun and you're going to enjoy it the same way. Untitled Goose Game.
Yep.
Oh my god, what a great game.
Absolutely phenomenal. It's not technically challenging by any means. It doesn't tell us anything about like, oh my gosh, it's amazing that these programmers were able to do this. It was just the pure core gameplay was smooth, it was slick, and it was friggin' hilarious.
Okay.
I loved that game. I had so much fun with it.
Mhm.
Everyone who was there loved it too. Like, chat was on fire. They loved that game. And I have to say, I feel very akin to that goose. Like, we might be brothers from another mother, you know?
Mm.
I really love that game.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also a game that respects time very well. It's not a particularly long game, but every single moment has something to do, some sort of excitement to it. I think the pace was also really good for the content it delivered.
Okay. Interesting. I'm not surprised to hear that. I was waiting for that one to be of the list I'm looking at of games that came out this year. Not surprised to hear it. Yeah. Okay. What about Hippo or Elijah?
Okay, I got one.
Okay. Fire away, Hippo.
How about Metro Exodus?
Ooh, there you go. Okay.
I really enjoyed Metro when I played it. Might not be the best for streaming to my community since we're super chill and like to just have a conversation. But Metro, I love the Metro games though. So Metro Exodus came out. I played it. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. Cool. Metro Exodus. Elijah?
I forget. Are we counting ones that released really late at the end of 2018 or not?
Gotta be 2019 release date, or if it went 1.0 this year.
Okay, has to actually be release date. All right, well, sorry, Donut County, you happened to release just a few weeks early in December of 2018. Okay, well, then for another one to mention, and this is one that I am not alone in loving, that would be Disco Elysium.
I was thinking that one too.
Oh, there you go.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good choice.
yeah,
Okay.
that one is that is a perfectly weird game that came together marvelously, and the fact that it was born from a role-playing campaign that a bunch of people were just doing for fun, and now it's going to become this whole fictional multiverse. They've got a book plan, they've got an expansion pack on the way, they're going to port it to consoles, which I don't know how you do that, but okay. And just, yeah, there's nothing about Disco Elysium I really have a problem with other than you just can't play it at the pace that when I was having to play it for review, it was like, this is not a game for reviewing in a week. This is something you should savor over weeks and weeks of playing a few hours at a time. It's like a good novel. You want to engage with it for a bit, feel like your life's been enriched some, and then not come back to it for like another day or so. And I still firmly stand by that. It's probably one of the best games to just savor and enjoy instead of hurrying through or grinding to get something to. And it fully demonstrates something that I've been saying ever since we've had the whole Baldur's Gate and everything reviving, is you don't actually need to have tons of combat and everything to have a classic CRPG. If anything, I feel like that is the biggest barrier to a lot of new players, is throwing a mountain of combat systems at players that they might not be good at. Whereas Disco Elysium, yes, you can die from sitting on a crappy chair, but still. And I just, there's so much good about it. It's fantastic art style, and your companion, Katsuragi, basically puts an entire cast of Bioware characters to shame because of how well written he is. I am just blown away in every single regard. It's a game I don't actually have a complaint about.
Elijah, since you feel so strongly about it, can I ask you a question? why is it, do you think, that it's such a like hit or miss with people? Because I loved that game, but a lot of people didn't.
Simple, because it actually tried to do something interesting. That's the problem with a lot of games this year, is that it's been a struggle between do something interesting, but not everyone gets it. Because there's people who also hate hearing about Untitled Goose Game. I've heard people being like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so done with the memes," and stuff like that.
Dude, Goosey Boy is the best meme.
Yeah, but there are people who are completely and utterly tired of him. They want to stop hearing about him for forever, and I can kind of get that. I'm so bloody tired of hearing about Pokemon. My goodness. And it's like, I think that really is it. Disco Elysium has the daring to be niche while still being of a very high quality, because you can still do that. It's not going to appeal to everyone because it's a lot of reading.
It is a lot of reading.
Conventional world, and it just, it asks different things of you than some people want from a game. If there's the sort of person who plays Battlefield isn't necessarily going to be the sort of person who's going to love Disco Elysium. In fact, even in terms of just straight up games that are more intellectual, you're still going to have a divide. I know people who think of BioWare as some of the smartest games you can play, and there's other ones. In fact, there's one game critic I know who regards most of what BioWare has put out as being beneath themselves for the longest time. And that's just pretty much it. It's a game that is willing to try things, and that's part of the reason I love it so much, is that it actually isn't trying to be this but something else, this but something else. It's just like, no, I'm Disco Elysium. This is my whole thing. This is all I'm going to do, and we're gonna have fun doing it. And that's beautiful. It's beautiful to see this year, because we need more games like that now more than ever.
I think you hit on a very key point, which is, and it feels really bothersome, and I can see some people being like kind of offended, like, are you telling me that my game isn't interesting? Like, how dare you? But there are games that are created solely for that purpose of entertainment, and the content material is secondary or just needs to be there enough to exist, right? You think about like the core gameplay mechanics of Assassin's Creed. You know exactly what you're getting in an Assassin's Creed game. It isn't interesting to the exception of maybe some of the nuance on it as to how they're doing things, but you're there to be entertained. You're there to watch the movie unfold and feel like you're a part of it. And a lot of people want to be on that train track. And I'm not going to say, like, I'm not making a judgment call for those people who want to be on that train track or not, because fact is, I am on that train track very often as well. I think we all are to a certain extent.
Just look at me with Battlefront. I'm someone who's praising Disco Elysium up, down, center, and it's like I still also need a dumb game every now and then, and that's fine. Like, I mean, to take your filmic example, I recently watched Hobbs and Shaw with my dad. I did not expect it to actually turn out to be a Deus Ex movie in disguise. I actually went into it intentionally hoping for it to not make me think too many complicated questions. And then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're a Deus Ex movie too. We're also still going to be a really cheesy...
It's Deus Ex.
Bite me and my Vita! Anyway.
Nobody has a Vita.
Yes, you can bite my Fred.
I think that means something different than what you think it means.
Because if your Freds don't dance, and if they don't dance, then they're no Freds of mine. Right. Anyway, so it really comes down to what someone's wanting from a game, and there's actually a couple other ones that were like that I wanted to play this year but didn't get the chance to. Like there's Lamplight City that, from what I understand, it might be another amazing detective game, but it's just like I haven't gotten to that one yet. But there's suddenly more of these niches existing that we used to have in 6th gen with the PS2. We used to have all sorts of crazy things like that. So I'm just on board with this. I'm very happy. You can't see, but I'm giving lots of thumbs up right now.
All right. So for our sanity of making sure we get through everything tonight, I'm going to bring us back on track and get that last round of Top Games 2019. If someone wants to add another top game of 2019 to that list.
I'm going to add my top game, which is Death Stranding.
Death Stranding. Yeah. Okay.
Given how much we've spoken to it already, I'm not sure how much more we can say, especially without giving spoilers.
Sure. No,
Yeah,
that's fair.
I'm fine with just breezing over the fact that we love that game.
Okay.
Can I just
I've
say,
seen the title screen. Someday I'll actually get to play it.
we've seen 47,000 trailers and not known what was going on. The fact that it can be explained effectively in the game is phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Who else has anything for?
Well, I can throw one in, but no one's probably going to believe me.
Okay.
I still think that Left Alive is one of the games I most enjoyed playing this year. I still firmly stand by that belief that despite the fact that it did have a rough launch, I'm not going to say it didn't. I really think, plus given the Metacritic scores where what critics felt versus what users felt is literally 40 points apart, makes me think,
Oh yeah, I mean,
I'm not crazy here. There are people who enjoyed this game. It's just a matter of it had a rough launch, and really Square should have done at least a few more patches to make sure that the frame rate was steady. But it's
like, critics have been, for like pretty much everything lately, have been just so far removed from how the masses feel about it. Like, they gave like The Witcher like a very low score, and then the public gave The Witcher like no, the TV show, the Netflix show. But like the critics were like, oh, it's like but then like
it's a
everyone
video game series. Blah.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah. So anyway, all I'm saying is critics I don't even listen to anymore because more often than not I don't agree with them.
Well,
Okay.
on that note, it's just for those who don't know, Left Alive is essentially, it's kind of like, what if we combined We Are Still Here, that or whatever the name was, the game about being a survivor, a civilian in the middle of a military action going on in your city, and that and Metal Gear Solid, plus also some bits of front mission thrown in, because you can sometimes pilot a mech and you really have to scrape by. There's an amazing amount of different difficulty options you can choose from, because the game can be absolutely brutal, or you can make it be basically Metal Gear Solid 5, but with some survival horror elements thrown in. There's 3 different protagonists who can trade items by storing them in loot boxes, like if it was Resident Evil 2. The story has branching dialogue choices and everything. Each level is essentially a mini hub world that you can explore that always has different stuff based on what person you're playing as. There's this whole elaborate conspiracy going on that's told, from everything that I've experienced, fairly decently, and like the voice acting is actually really good. Like, it's still got that sort of stilted Capcom-ness of everyone sounds like they're hamming it up, but weirdly it works in a very Kojima-esque fashion. So like, pretty much, if you enjoyed Death Stranding, I would say you're probably actually going to be open to Left Alive as well, because it's a very similar, very different sort of take on things. It's willing to try some bold new stuff and not necessarily be for everyone. And now they've patched a bunch of the things so that it's a bit less brutal for certain players. Absolutely give it a look at some point. It's on PS4 and PC, which was also a surprising thing for Square Enix to do. And if you miss Metal Gear, there's definitely a lot of Metal Gear inspiration. They even had the lead concept artist from Metal Gear on board to do all of the art for the game.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my last one that I'm going to throw in there, because just like, I feel like it really got a rough deal when it was just a matter of having a rough launch instead of actually being a bad game.
Okay. It's you and me, then I get to throw a game in the hat for the last round.
Yeah.
I think a couple honorable mentions, because I don't think any of us played them, or didn't mention it. I think Control's an honorable mention. I think that some people are going to say Borderlands is an honorable mention.
Really?
I can't play it. I just can't play it.
So maybe
but
added to
a lot of people would say it was amazing.
Yeah, some people would. So save it for
I've
the other.
also heard some people bashing it, actually. I was kind of surprised at the amount of negative press.
Save it for the other list. There's another list coming, guys. There's another list coming.
List.
There is another list coming. Don't you worry. I think there's that and a couple others. I think those are the ones that I want to include in honorable mentions. My last one's going to be Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, okay. I can see that.
I almost named that, but still it lost me as soon as I left the Raccoon City Police Department. Like it seemed to just nosedive in my attention span as soon as it did that. So that's the only reason why I didn't bring that one in.
Having played I played so much of the original Resident Evil 2 that I knew what was going to happen with the story and how it spiraled, so that didn't bother me any at all, right? Like I'm that person that got so good at the original Resident Evil 2 that in scenario A I could beat William with just a combat knife. For the record, it takes 42 stabs to beat him. There you go.
Uh-huh.
Useless information.
That's like when I was a little kid and I actually counted how many licks it took to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop.
You actually
How
counted.
many?
Do you still remember the number?
How many?
I don't still remember the number. I think
This
the
is
tally
important
man.
the
information.
tally was in the hundreds. It was like
That's it?
380 something. I think it's somewhere around
That's
there.
actually pretty reasonable.
But so yeah,
But what's a lick, really?
I thought the way that the atmosphere was created in the remake, and it stayed true to the game, but had modern elements that made it really enjoyable, and I thought it was well done.
Mm.
So RE2.
Yeah,
This is a-
I definitely don't think this one will be the winner,
Mhm.
but for the last one that I'll throw in there, Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yep, okay. I purposely didn't add that one to the honorable mentions for that reason.
I'm glad you know me well enough because we did not plan this out in advance as to what games were going to be said by who at all.
Nope, we didn't. I just had a hunch.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. When it's been more than a decade since your last iteration of a game, there's so much anticipation that goes into that there's going to be some wild amount of hype and there's going to be a lot of hating for it as well. And I feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 got a good portion of both of those. I also think that it needed to have that cooling off period because there are only so many Disney movies until they bought more.
Fair.
So everything was very well put together. It reminded me of what it was like right when I had first played the earlier Kingdom Hearts games. It felt like I was coming back home. And I think that's the piece to Kingdom Hearts in particular. And very much the same way with Resident Evil. That was my homecoming because Resident Evil never did resonate with me earlier on.
Fair. Whereas, yeah, okay, that's fair. All right. So, process of elimination. The round one of eliminations. The cycle. Does that make it to the next round or no?
I didn't even get to play it, so I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
Also,
Any
it's
other
a
votes?
VR game.
Dizza?
Whew.
Oh, he froze. That's a great freeze frame.
You know it.
Uh,
Is audio still there?
Oh, we still have audio. You just froze. It's all good.
Oh,
I
fantastic.
don't see you
fantastic.
frozen though.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, but it's a great freezing screen. I can see it on the stream.
Mhm. I have not played it, and so that's a hard one for me to advocate.
Okay. Elijah, does the cycle make it to the next round?
Out of all of them, I mostly ended up coming in there because I ended up having to explain it. So at that point, I was like, well, it sounds like I'm nominating it anyway. But doesn't sound like it's gonna make it through anyway.
All right. So we'll check that one off as not making it. The Wendy's RPG game.
The best ever. You cannot deny it. Don't you dare. Oh, I see the crossing right now. Don't. How could you? How
Cross it
could
for me
you?
too.
Yep, it's crossed.
The Order of the Frosty will compel you
How
to
many-
calm
question,
and reconsideration.
How many does it take to get it through a round? Does that be unanimous, or does it have to at least have 2 for the first round?
I think 3 out of 4 brings it to the next round.
Yeah, it's 3 out of 4 will
Uh.
bring it to the next round.
Sorry, I was gonna try to get your Windies through to at least the second round.
Well,
Yeah, it's just gonna be extra crispy.
It's extra crispy outside the ring. Dun dun dun. Apex.
No.
Ooh. It's difficult because it's so flash in the pan.
Not only that, but a lot of the things it's been praised for, other games actually did. The pinging system was done by Battleborn years before, and there's a couple other games that have also done similar systems to that.
But it's not a BR. Battleborn, right? I guess it kind of is. It's like Arena, though.
It's not a battle royale, no. But I'm just saying the mechanics that people have used to sell the game as being a lot of people sold Apex Legends as if it was this profound opening of doors to experiencing multiplayer gaming, whereas really what they said is that it had barks for characters that they liked more, because a lot of the things that it did, other multiplayer games have done. It's just that apparently no one's really noticed until now, and probably more down to Battle Royale not having those at the start, so probably that's why it was exciting at the time that it happened. So for me, it's like, I love you, Respawn, but you've done better than this, which is a weird theme for this year.
Okay.
I think there is something to be said for bringing it out and making it popular and presenting it in a way that grabs people's attention. Do I think that it's the game of the year? No.
Well, it only has to get around to the second round. Does it go to the next round?
I'll give it the just barely pass. It's not getting further than this. I'm pretty sure.
So while I think it's nice that Respawn took these other other mechanics from other games and put it in a VR, I think that's really cool. But I don't think it's a game of the year at all, and I don't think it should go to the next round. So I'm gonna say no.
All right. Oddly enough, I'm gonna go ahead and strike it. It didn't get its 3 because although I put it on the list, it just didn't make it into the circle in time. I think if it would have stuck around a little bit longer, it would have definitely stayed on quite a bit.
Had I not had a lot of friends who are hardcore BR nerds, I would not have gotten that reference.
But so many people get it. All right, so Apex is off. What about Ancestors?
I really like the Ancestors, so I'm gonna give it a yes.
See,
Did you guys play Ancestors?
Nope.
I'm not gonna lie, like the concept of it wasn't enough to grab me. The controversy that followed a few months later with the developer of it really didn't help me.
I did not hear any controversy about it.
It was regarding a review for it and how people were just wrong. Yeah, I had to find the full story again, but yeah, there was some negative reviews and oh well, you just didn't do it right type thing.
Honestly, that was the main thing that stopped me. Like, I was interested, I wanted to experience it, but yeah, it just everything I heard about how masochistic it can get at times and everything, especially if you're playing on console versus PC, it just was like, yes, in theory, I could experience that, or I could experience something that's less likely to blow up in my face. That was a big concern for me, was that. And it's a shame because it's a really great concept, but I feel like we need something to find a middle ground between it and Spore. But I do approve of Hippo actually trying something very unusual with it, because that is the sort of game that usually people would look at me and expect me to be playing.
Really? Because I looked at that game and I thought it was like an interesting concept where...
Oh, there were a lot of people incredibly skeptical of it, dude. Welcome to my world on a daily basis.
Well, my community really loved it, and I loved it, so I had a lot of fun. I met some new people in it, too.
Yeah.
Great.
So what was your vote on that one, Elijah?
I'm 50-50. to be quite frank.
I will say I think it's good enough to go into the next round. And
Okay.
mind you, the controversy details I wasn't aware of until now, so I'm just gonna kind of non-factor it.
I
But
had no idea there was controversy going on. Was it really controversy? Because like the way you said it was just like some reviews gave it a bad score, and the developer was like, "You did it wrong." Is that like the gist of it? Well,
Yeah,
whatever.
I'll find it.
Just because the developer is being dumb, it's like, all right, whatever.
yeah, I mean, there's a big difference between that and some of the other developers that we have spoken with. Like, hey, you're super defensive of your game, okay.
But that's
Yep. I would pass it into round 2. I think it's novel. I think it's interesting. I think it presents in a way that other games truly don't, and yet at the same time strikes to a pretty broad audience if they're willing to listen.
Okay.
There was a lot of people in that category, though. That's why I'm just like confused at like the whole saying that it wasn't a big thing.
Yeah, I mean it I think it's got a 64 on Metacritic right now. But that's neither here nor there. Still any thoughts on it, Elijah?
I'm sorry, I actually broke up a bit here when everyone was talking.
But does it go to the next round?
Yeah,
Go to the next round.
Yep. That's the question.
No, I was saying yes.
You say yes. Okay. Well, my vote doesn't matter then because it got 3.
Hey, your vote matters, okay?
I don't have too strong of an opinion on it, to be honest with you. Like, it really didn't grab me too much. Like, I can see where people enjoyed it.
My problem, though, is like I said, I was pretty 50-50, and that remains kind
Mitch just doesn't like monkeying around. That's what it is.
Wrong.
Well,
person
if that
doing
sigh was any
puns.
proof.
Wrong person with puns. Holy hell.
They're infectious, didn't you know?
Clearly.
They're evolving.
The Division 2.
I'm gonna have to go with no, more because of the optics of the game, honestly. Like, a game about fighting homeless people while camped out in the White House is just...
Homeless people?
Well, they go out of the way to make... There's also the Black Ops military group, no question there. It's just like, there's a lot going on there where it's just... I feel like by trying to be apolitical, the game actually has special optics there, and that's... I genuinely considered getting it during the Epic Game Store sale, and my response was, I could, or I could get something that I will actually be, happy with and fully comfortable with. It's the same sort of deal as how I was feeling with, honestly, with Jedi Fallen Order, where it's like, me playing this, it feels like I'm saying something, and I'm not sure if it's the thing I want it to be said. So that's, I'm not huge on that there, and also...
I didn't get any of that from that game.
Huge on the Division. I'm just not that huge on the Division in general. So
I mean, I think that's fair, but the whole like moral, political side of it, I didn't get any of that when I played it.
I got a political statement out of it, but I don't know if that's enough to get that on, because I think it's more of a commentary more than a statement than anything, and I think commentary is just fine. It's not, if you're not calling for really shitty things to happen, if you're just commentating, going, yeah, kind of what I see, whatever. Izza, what's your vote on the Division 2?
I have a lot of personal investment in this game, which makes it very difficult for me to be objective. I have bought it on one system, proceeded to get the upgraded version of said system to make it look better on said game, as well as a few others. But that was one of the main games where I was like, yeah, it's going to look a lot better on this. And then I happened to get it on PC when I made a new PC. Like, it was gifted. So it's very difficult to detach myself from that.
Sure.
I think. But that being said, I really did like how it came across, and I think as a matter of correcting the challenges and the failed launch of the original Division, yes, I would say definite success there. It's a successful game. I don't think it's going to be the game of 2019, but I think it deserves recognition for that second round.
Okay. Hippo?
I liked the game a lot, but it didn't hold me. It didn't captivate me enough to keep playing more than like 15 hours, 16 hours. And I paid a lot of money for it, so I'm gonna say no.
All
The only
right.
reason why it kept me, the only reason it kept me playing was I was playing with friends, and that was it.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
fair.
and friends don't make the game better. Friends just make
I
everything better.
agree. Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm gonna say no.
All right.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It does make me want to visit Washington, D.C. again.
That's also fair. Untitled Goose Game.
Yes.
I'm gonna say yes too.
100% honk.
I also vote for that one to go through to the next round. So that one
Can we
shall
just
go.
get like a, like the 100 with like the 3 lines under it? Can we just get honked with a J, like HJONK?
I think that's deserved here. Oh goodness. All right, so Goose Game goes on to the next round. Metro Exodus.
I did not get to play this one, but I'm always going to be in favor of Metro simply because, my gosh, C4 games, just they need, or 4C, whatever the name is, they've earned it, I think, by this point. Have you heard about what went into the development of Last Light? Just like, seriously, those guys are dedicated, and everything I've heard about Exodus is good. I just have not had the chance to pick up a copy or play it. I know it's on Game Pass, but it's just, yeah, it's like, it has to be doing something right.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it when I played it, and the story was compelling, and the world is absolutely terrifying.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pass it.
Okay.
Mish, what do you think?
Mm,
I'm torn on it. The whole Epic Game Store thing really didn't sit well with me on that.
That's not about the matter of the game, though. That's not about the game's content. That's just a matter of a publishing deal shift. That wasn't even necessarily the developer's call. That was the publisher.
Right. I get that, but it's still something that didn't sit well with me about the game.
But
Right.
is it enough?
Yeah, it's the grand scheme of things. It's going to be absolutely neutered eventually. It's going to come to Steam. They still have it. They actually even made sure that everyone who already ordered it on Steam got their copies. So that's actually better than certain EGS ports. Like Borderlands 2, 3, yeah, you just never saw it come to Steam. So even in that respect, it actually handled it a lot classier than other developers and publishers did.
So are you going to Randy Pitchfork it?
That's the question, right? See, I think that it looked great. I thought the gameplay looked really good. We'll let Exodus go to the next round. That's 3. It went.
Yeah.
Disco Elysium.
Obviously, I'm going to be voting yes for it, but it's any question if anybody will trust me on that.
I vote for that one to go to the next round as well.
I have not played this game yet. However, I am purposely holding on to it because of all of the awesomeness that I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
I want to find a good way to present it because I think it's the sort of game that really deserves it. Absolutely bring it to the next round.
Okay. That's 3. So that's going. Death Stranding.
I'm gonna say yep. You need the
Sorry.
Like, I haven't played it, but I also do just kind of want to see it go through simply because I'm happy to see another game basically do what Generation Zero did, but also make it even be less focused on combat and more focused on traversal and stuff. Because who would think post-apocalyptic Mailman would be a AAA game that exists? So I feel like that needs to be celebrated. I do acknowledge that the game also had some weird content issues. Like, apparently it really put the asexual community of all things with a text log of all shit. But as just a game on its own, it seems fine. It seems like a perfectly decent time.
Okay.
And someday I will get past the very pretty title screen.
Okay.
It is very pretty.
That's going Left Alive.
Anyone gonna believe me?
I mean, I didn't get to play it, but I am like really. I like when developers. Well, how do I say this without sounding ridiculous? I was going to say I like when developers release garbage games, but that's not what I mean. I like it when developers when they like fix their mistakes. So everything that I've heard from you for Left Alive is that they launched it. It was terrible. People hated it, and then they fixed it.
In a lot of ways, yes. Like, I still wish the PC performance was better, but I think that might have been because I was running it on Windows 7. We're going to be seeing how it handles now on Windows 10. I'm expecting a much better performance.
Okay.
Also, I do want to add one extra awesome thing that they did, because you know how certain games like Death Stranding have passive multiplayer where you kind of interact with players but not directly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In Left Alive's case, if you die, that leaves a corpse in someone else's game that gives them a free item, like a grenade or a health kit or something, so that they have an easier time getting through it. So as a result, it's essentially a natural, automatic difficulty balancing system. That's kind of amazing. I'm amazed that's not something we do, given there's so many single-player games now that they're so big to download anyway, and there's so many patches, you end up having an internet connection regardless. Might as well make use of it in ways that make it more beneficial for the player.
That's fair.
I should like this game. I remember looking at it at PAX and thinking, why was this not on my radar? And proceeding to ignore it entirely. And the real problem is every time that I saw other people playing it, I'd catch them in weird moments, and I just saw a collection of weird moments that never really came together to what I would like to imagine. I think the biggest challenge for me is that Front Mission has a lot of like background with me, and that I'm expecting certain things from it, and I think I'm almost expecting too much for this game that I don't want to play it, and so I can't bring it to the next round. As much as I would like to, I think my expectations overcome my actual interest in it.
Okay. My take is something similar to that. Especially seeing this as it's a Squeenix game. I know that they made games like the original Final Fantasy XIV and Final Fantasy XIII. They've also have quite the pedigree. And this one doesn't quite match that. Not saying that it's a bad game, because it sounds like they've done some great stuff on the back end after release, but there's something missing from it that makes it be a grabber. So, Left Alive does not make it to the next round. But speaking of Squeenix games, what about Kingdom Hearts 3?
I'm gonna say I can't vote on this because I don't like any Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, this I when this got brought up, it's like, oh well, shit. Because I'm sorry, but like I grabbed the Kingdom Hearts remix thing so that I can at least give them a shot on my PS3. They have been sitting on my desk for over a year now, and I have still not felt the impetus to unwrap the shrink wrap.
Okay.
I'm gonna straight up blame Donald Duck. All right.
For me, it's just every time I hear about how incomprehensible the plot is and just how much time you have to invest to actually follow what's going on here, And on top of that, I still don't entirely understand how the gameplay works. Like, literally, anytime I look up any games, it's like, it feels like someone just randomly assigned different genre tropes, and we're like, okay, and now that's the game. And
Okay.
then someone had to reverse engineer from that point to actually figure out what the game was. So I
still don't know what's going on with that game.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm sorry. I know, and I appreciate why people love it, but goodness me, it's an incomprehensible mess that I just kind of stare and back away from every time I get close to it. So I wasn't even keeping 3 on my radar.
Okay. Okay.
It's funny because, like, you know, one of my community manager loves Kingdom Hearts, but she loves Kingdom Hearts, and I'm like, I feel the opposite.
That's fair. Last one for first round is Resident Evil 2.
For me, I didn't actually get to play the game, but I enjoyed that it was. I enjoyed what I watched.
Okay.
It was. I could see it if you were playing it be very spoopy. Watching it, I feel like watching horror games are a lot less spooky. But I think it was good. So I'm gonna pass it on this round.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I think it also deserves a go for it. I think it shows what a remake should be.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of remakes and HD remasters and things like that I just find myself disappointed in. So glad that we finally have high resolution Squall, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, he's the most handsome one in the entire dance club. But this is the way it really should be, and I'm hoping that some of the other remakes that will be coming out in the near future, Final Fantasy VII, look at this as a standard of how the feel should be.
Okay.
And how to match the spirit of a game. So yes.
Quite honest, it's one of the main reasons. As weird as it may sound, RE2 make is probably why I'm genuinely curious now about Final Fantasy VII Remake, because from the sounds of it, it is taking that sort of approach where we're updating the gameplay, we're tweaking around with things, but we're also trying to capture both the classic feel but let more people in. Because I feel like that's what I really enjoyed about RE2 make is just it genuinely goes for it. It's willing to shake some things up and make it be interesting, even if you weren't instantly, invested in what was going on there. It's like, okay, yeah, because right before it released, I tried the classic Resident Evil 2 on the PlayStation via PlayStation Classics, and it's like, I can see what they were going for here, and gosh, do I clearly see, yeah, they really did want to make this more of an action-y experience, but wow, is the difference substantive. In fact, I would go so far as to say that the remake is more of a horror game than the original release.
Okay.
And I mean that as a positive praise.
Okay.
The ending did let me down a bit, or just that whole bit there, but everything up until that point was brilliant. And literally, once I learned that, oh, you actually can get back to the police department at some point, okay, maybe I'll load up the save file again just to figure out how to get back to that point, at least so that I can just wander around and fight any more zombies that are lingering.
Okay. So
Sounds like we got a passer.
Yep. Next round then, it's going to be a lightning round. Just for posterity's sakes and trying to get through everything, because we still have a lot of other things to talk about still.
Yeah, we're at 11 o'clock.
Yeah. See, I wonder
That's
why.
right.
I wonder why. All right, so lightning round.
We don't ramble about anything. What are you talking about?
Lightning round. Ready? Set. Ancestors.
Wah, wah.
Ancestors is out. Untitled Goose Game.
Yes.
Okay. Metro Exodus.
Anyone who doesn't like it's good, but I don't feel like it's actually Game of the Year material.
Okay, it's out. Disco Elysium.
Yes.
You
have been overridden.
All right, Disco makes this to the next round. Death Stranding. I'm waiting for.
I wish I actually had played it, because I feel like not having played it, I feel like I can't give as informed an opinion on it, because there's a lot that's invested inside it, so I feel very conflicted.
That's kind
It's
of
okay. I put your thumb up for you. Don't worry about it. You're good.
Okay then.
Come on, BB.
That's so
BB is giving you
thoughtful
a
of
thumbs
you.
up, man.
all
That's
right.
so thoughtful. Okay, moving on.
And Resident Evil 2.
I'm fine with that one continuing to go.
Sure. Yeah, kind of like on the fence too, but sure.
Okay, so that makes it to the
Why
next
not?
round. So Disco Elysium for third round, final round.
Wait. What do we have in the list?
Okay, so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
are okay.
Break it
To
down.
recap, we have Untitled Goose Game, Disco Elysium, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2. Last four, one stands.
So, non-battle RPG, I'm a goose, I'm a delivery guy, and nostalgia.
Yep.
That is what 2019 has come down to.
Yep.
And can I just say, I'm actually rather proud of this list. Can we, as a group, come to a consensus on any one of those 4 games?
I think the one that I'm seeing a constant of, and I think it's because it came out of nowhere. It got a huge notoriety. A lot of people were aware of the game that even existed outside of gaming. Untitled Goose Game.
Untitled Goose Game.
I agree.
Pretty much when it come down to the last part, like it was either that or Disco, because both of those are just they are.
See, I don't think Disco Elysium could be, because it wasn't interesting. Well, it was interesting to certain people like us, but I'm not saying I'm not saying it's a bad game at all, but
There's a little bit
The
of an edge
reason
to it.
I bring it up,
I don't think it's as iconic.
right.
Oh yeah, and then in terms of iconography, that there's a reason I say both of them. The reason I would even consider Disco Elysium as the top one is simply because it did come out of nowhere. It surprised everyone. It was a massive achievement in terms of what they actually accomplished, given how small the team was, and simply because it actually has gotten other people to actually try games as well. There's a bunch of people I know who are more literary who are now actually giving it a whirl. So
Yeah, I agree.
I'm okay with Untitled. I'm very okay with honking.
Okay.
Let us all honk together in
general
appreciation.
consensus, we all honk. Untitled Goose Game. Game of the Year 2019.
Honk, 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 honk,
That's
honk.
right. They all honk down here, Timmy. They all honk.
Oh, love it.
I don't even have a pretty bow to put on. This is so disappointing.
So, I think for the rest of the things that we want to talk about, we're not doing Battle Royale because, oh my god, that took way too much time. Let's talk about a couple games that didn't do too well in 2019.
How about we
a lot
do
of
it
them.
as one personal game that we didn't really sit well, like the game that we genuinely least sit at well with in 2019. That way we can each give it a one piece, and there's no judgments given. Everyone just,
Objectively
Gets to
speaking
say
about
what they
games
did.
of 2019, as far as what,
That isn't Bad Rats, although that didn't come out in 2019.
that didn't come out in 2019.
I still want to talk about it.
More people have gotten it this year for Christmas, so just gonna put that
Oh,
out
I'm
there.
so glad you already gave it to me.
Great.
It's like an STD.
The problem is a lot of the games that were recognized in 2019 for not being that great were ones I just flat out avoided.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we were to talk about games in 2019 that objectively didn't do that well based on its release, and then the news that followed it, and the roadmap, and then the discard of the roadmap, and then a new roadmap, and then they have no idea what they're doing at all with this game, is Anthem. 2019, I think Anthem was yeah. I hate to say
Giant disappointment.
because I know there's some people that really like the game, but overall, I think there was a lot that was expected as this game, and it flopped. Like belly flop from a high dive type flop. It was bad in that regard. The game had a ton of potential, and I remember seeing it earlier on in previews, and it looked like it had a ton to offer. It didn't hit the mark.
Can we do Stadia? The Stadia? whatever the
Stadia.
whatever the
Stadia. Yeah.
You know what?
Because
Go
I
ahead.
vote for that.
Yeah, the Stadia
I think
release.
that's fair.
That is definitely fair for 2019 and things that happened in 2019. Sure. Yeah.
As a broadcaster, I was like, man, I really want to get on this. Should I get on this? In live, but better. Google's doing it. Maybe I should do it. I mean, if I do it, maybe I'll be like one of the first people to like actually get to play something. And I was like, nope, this is terrible. I'm not doing it. And then like it came out and it was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So bad.
Yeah, I am in no rush to a streaming future.
I will not
I am
be doing that.
I am not interested in anything that's being offered there.
Okay.
All right, who's next?
Man, I'm just trying to think of some real disappointments for me. Is it bad that, like, collectively I just default to disappointed and then I'm pleasantly surprised?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fine, but that's not in the same vein of what we're doing.
Right. Also true.
I just want to say that not most people, but there's a lot of people saying that the Division was actually a flop.
Interesting. I'm certainly not to the point where I could say that it's a flop. I think
I don't think it was a flop.
I don't think so either. I think that there's some expectations that weren't quite met, maybe. But I don't think it was a flop.
It's really interesting hearing all this as the one guy in the room who actually enjoyed Anthem enough to make 3 videos about it.
I think that Anthem had some like first of all, Anthem, like the combat and stuff was really fun. It just everything else around it was not so good.
it was a core concept that didn't have enough time to develop, especially because
Argue that.
Well,
Goodness,
that
being made in under a year, realistically, that's just
Mhm.
why I'm also going to be here for Anthem next.
see, here's the thing though. Like, if you want to talk about that, I mean, there's other games that have that same problem. Now, I'm just as critical about those because it all comes down to management of the games, and it's not really even the devs' fault. It's the management of those devs who create those problems. I mean, that's
Our employees themselves have said that they actually regret that Dragon Age Inquisition won so many Game of the Year awards because that actually basically led to the problems that happened with Andromeda and Anthem more than anything else. Because they got cocky. So yeah. But I don't really want to retread a lot of ground here, but I think I know what my biggest disappointment was. A long time ago, in an office in Pennsylvania, I genuinely felt my interest in Star Wars fade away the longer and longer and longer I played Jedi Fallen Order. It genuinely has me to the point I am just done. Between it and The Rise of Skywalker, I am just done. Because this is a project I had forgotten. They had Chris Avallone on for this. Planescape Torment Chris Avallone. And, he was the mastermind of Knights of the Republic too and everything. It's like... And yes, I keep being told that if you just approach it purely from a casual standpoint, that it's fine. But even from a casual standpoint, I don't think I would have enjoyed it that much.
I enjoyed it. I went in the casual standpoint, and I enjoyed it.
I was
It
gonna say,
isn't that substantive. It doesn't have many ideas of its own to present, and honestly, what it claims to be, it really wasn't. It claimed to be this Metroidvania Souls-like, and instead it was more like, hey, what if Rise of the Tomb Raider, but the checkpoint system was more annoying? That's really what it came down to for me, and there are moments where I can see the game it should have been, and that's why I think it actually bothers me more than some other games, because there's some games where it just flat out got bad, like Indivisible. As soon as it starts to open up, it has problems with pacing and with way too much masochistic platforming for a JRPG. Like, seriously, I don't get why they decided to add Zero Lab. That was the thing they needed to do, but that was just a game for me that was a work. It was something that I wanted to experience, but in the end of the day, it was work. For Jedi Fallen Order, that was really the last thing I was holding on to keep me even giving a damn about the current Star Wars expanded universe, giving a damn about any of these things. It's like, okay, it's my favorite developer. They're doing something new. They're offering something that could potentially be even better than The Force Unleashed. Previews sound amazing. And then just in almost every way about it, after the first hour, it lost me. And even in the first hour, there were a lot of weird choices in storytelling and more. So, yeah, I'm sorry. It was the biggest womp of the year for me.
For you, okay, so that's I feel like I don't know, because I
want to be clear here that I'm not the express that. I know that because I saw it in plenty of comment sections. It's actually been kind of weird for those of us who didn't dig it, because there's like a subset who are just sort of like, I don't understand what I'm not getting here. It genuinely is unsettling. Like, everybody likes to joke about, not gelling with everyone on all the zeitgeist, but like, it's actually kind of a relief for me when I don't feel that disconnect, and seeing a lot of people have that. Yes?
Okay, so just objectively speaking here, from scores, Metacritic 59 versus a Metacritic of 79 for Anthem and Star Wars. Okay, and if you look at just other scores, 57% liked it on Google versus the 94% that liked Star Wars. I get that you didn't enjoy it, and you're entitled to that opinion. Absolutely, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But
no, you must like all games,
right? But you are going to find a lot of people that will say, "No, this was a good Star Wars game." And given the
64th best PS4 game in 2019 and 6th most discussed PS4 game of 2019.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's a tough place to put your flag, but I do respect you for doing it.
Right.
I similarly have a tough flag situation, I think, in that I am really, really disappointed in the Switch Lite.
Okay.
I think the Switch Lite is going to create a lot of problems.
Wasn't it?
Sorry?
That was a weird iteration, wasn't it? I'm still not entirely sure who they're selling it to.
So, they're selling it to kids who are playing without their friends. And I feel like the biggest thing about the Switch, one of the big advantages that Nintendo's always had, is in-location multiplayer. You can't do that on a Switch Lite because you can't connect it to a TV. I feel like it inherently cuts off one of the biggest things that makes the Switch awesome. And it's also going to start a fragmentation of the console, because there are a lot of games that can't be played on the Lite correctly, or like to the design of the original playthrough of the developers, because of the limitations on the controls. And so I am definitely in question about the decision that was made on it. I think it's bad now, but I think it gets a lot worse 2-3 years down the line, when developers now have to make some really disappointing decisions as to, do they make sure that their game is going to be appropriately available for play on the Lite, versus making a game that matches the way that they're thinking about making things on the Switch to begin with.
Especially if the rumored Switch XL actually ends up being a thing, then it gets even more confusing.
Sure. Did everyone get to put a disappointing 2019 thing in there?
I believe so.
All right.
Can we cast it into the fire and burn it?
You know what? Because of how long this one has gone, here's what I want to do, guys. I think our conversation can continue in a couple weeks, because there's a lot to discuss still, because there's a whole decade to recap.
What?
I know.
We did 10 of these things?
I know. So here's what I would like to do, and we'll go ahead and just discuss it live right now, is that in a couple weeks, when we reconvene, we'll do what we've been playing, and we'll discuss the 2010s. How's that sound?
Cool.
Sounds good.
Sounds like a great way to do this. I suppose with that being said, then, that was the 2019 year recap. Sounds great. Before we go,
Great year, donk.
Goosey Boy was the
Goose
The
Game
leader,
was
the wins, the
Yup.
wins. I don't know. At
All the
this point,
wins.
I can't.
Every win was the
Yeah.
goose.
Hmm.
Search your feelings, you know it's true. Oh.
It's a unanimous wins.
Right. So, if you've not been around for this part, what we are going to do is we're going to go around, sell each other out. We're going to, for those that are watching live, we'll go and raid a channel, and we'll go through the various events that went through that we didn't have flash up on the screen like a normal stream would have. That being said, let's kick it off with Mr. Unabridged Gamer Elijah. Where can we find you on the internet, and what do you got coming up on your channel?
Well, obviously you can find me on YouTube and occasionally on Twitch as the Unabridged Gamer. We're closing in now on 1,000 subscribers, so if you enjoy my rambles, please be sure to subscribe because we're getting very close to that first 1,000, which the YouTube algorithm really likes.
Okay.
Also, you can find me on The Escapist at Second Look, where I do a lot of what I do on YouTube, but I do it very shiny, and it gets to talk about all sorts of really unique ones that I've just been dying to talk about. We just got wrapped up for this year, and I'm excited already for what I'm planning for next year for that as well. Just all sorts of crazy games. And it should be mentioned that on my channel, my users have voted that the coming year is going to have a number of dedicated reviews to motion-controlled games, which is now why I now happen to end up having a copy of Time Crisis Rising Storm. That is Rising Storm, not Rising Storm, Razing. R-A-Z-I-N-G. No, I don't know why. But it's going to be a very interesting and waggly filled year, and yes, VR is also going to be addressed, and just, yeah, it will be an interesting one, that's for sure. And really, that's where you can find me right now. And the only other thing that I most recently put out is if you remember when we had Jack on the stream, I was on her thing discussing Knights of the Republic 2 and a certain other Jedi game that was previously mentioned. And yeah, so just give it a look and a listen. Go on.
Okay.
Sorry, really rambly.
Cool. And the links are in the chat, so if you haven't already, click the links, go ahead and drop a follow. Hippo, where can we find you on the internet? What do you got coming up on your channel?
Hippo.wtf. You will find all of the things that you could ever ask for and more. If you go to hippo.wtf, it's my website, you'll find all the links and all scheduled activities.
A link to the past.
There's a calendar.
There we go.
Yeah, so that's where you can find all the information, all the links. This week we're going to be doing well, I guess on Tuesday we'll be doing not a 12-hour, but we'll be doing a New Year special, and then the rest of the week we're gonna just chill and play more Coloring Pixels
Okay.
and Stardew Valley and some Bomber Crew and The Witcher, since we started playing that. So
Okay.
that's what you got looking forward to within the next week or so.
Cool. Diza G, where can we find you on the web? What do you have coming up on your channel?
You can find me on the interwebs. Thank you for noticing. I am mostly here on Twitch, though you can find me anywhere at DizG. There isn't anyone else like me, and they're trying to avoid it. I am mostly playing Trails of Cold Steel. That's the Tuesdays and Thursdays regular RPG experience. I've got a group of friends who all just happen to get a copy of Stardew Valley randomly placed in their laps, and they are some curious friends. So there may be something going on with that in the future. We're working out the details on it, but if you see Stardew Valley popping up on my channel, please help me, because there will probably be problems. And yes, that's twitch.tv/DizG for all of that good stuff.
Okay. Cool.
All the seeds of curiosity.
As for myself, if you are watching live, you already know where to find my Twitch channel. It's Miss Michelle Jean, 1L Michelle. Of course, you can also go to michellejean.tv to bring you straight to my Twitch channel. On my channel, this week's a little crazy because of New Year's Eve. I don't know if I'm streaming on New Year's Eve yet or not, because I gotta see what the other half says. Wednesday for sure, going to be doing some RP. Friday will be either Warframe or More Elite Dangerous, one or the other. Trying to work out the details to mixed reality that is going to be angled back in. So we got that all coming up. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. There's a link for it somewhere. I still need to make videos for that, but otherwise, here. With that being said, for the Unabridged Gamer, for Heaponymous, and for Dizzy, my name is Miss Michelle Jean. Thank you so much for watching the Newbcast podcast. We'll see you all next time.
Happy New
Bye.
Year!
See you in the new year.
Do, 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 do.